DJ Swift on the tour. Say. I've been riding around my city, clutching on this Glock, steady ducking, going to prison, running from the cops. I've been taking all these losses, praying I'ma stop. I ain't thinking wrong or right while I'm out here on the block. I ain't running around my city, clutching on this Glock, steady ducking, going to prison, running from the cops. I've been taking all these losses, praying I'ma stop. I ain't thinking wrong or right while I'm out here on the block. Man, this shit is fucking crazy, trying to keep my mind on 10. When they ask you for a favor, they expect for you to bend. But when you're down bad, tell me who you could call a friend. I stay speaking on the truth every time I work the pen. I learned you better by yourself when you trying to take the bend. And I think them hard times, cause that's what made us men. Remember feeling all alone around the age of 10. And I got a little old, I won't fold, I won't bend. Why I scream is fuck a nigga. I ain't playing, run up and bust a nigga. Get the talking out your face, I had them hollows crush a nigga. Cause tired of the fake love, the fake smiles, the fake friends, keep them fake hugs. Cause y'all only gave a fuck when I was caked up. I fuck around and y'all was gone when I was caged up. Who put money towards that lawyer and I was cased up? You act so proud, little nigga, pick your face up. Now that yellow tape around my city, clutching on this Glock, steady ducking, going to prison, running from the cops. I've been taking all these losses and praying I'ma stop. I ain't thinking wrong or right while I'm out here on the block. I ain't running around my city, clutching on this Glock, steady ducking, going to prison, running from the cops. I've been taking all these losses and praying I'ma stop. I ain't thinking wrong or right while I'm out here on the block. I ain't running around my city, clutching on this Glock, steady ducking, going to prison, running from the cops. I've been taking all these losses and praying I'ma stop. I ain't thinking wrong or right while I'm out here on the block, yeah.
Man, it's just so crazy. You know what I'm saying? Cause nowadays, niggas don't keep it real no more. You hear me? So if you got some real niggas riding with you, stay true, stay down, stay loyal. Cause real recognize real, little nigga. On me. RP the guys. And free all my brothers. Fuck the ops. Fuck.
I was despised and rejected, spit on and disrespected, came to my own afflicted. Why didn't they listen to me? The greatest sacrifice no other man could ever give. I gave my life and soul, knowing it would make you live. Spirit was willing, with my flesh I had to overcome. I asked my Father, pass this cup, but I was the only one to do His will, fulfill the scriptures to perfection. Lay down my life in hope of reconciliation. Christ is on His way. Will you be waiting for me? Christ is on His way. Will I find faith in Thee? Christ is on His way. Come to the end of this confusion. Christ is on His way. Establish eternal righteous ruling. Christ is on His way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on His way. Or will I find iniquity? Christ is on His way. I bear the sins of many. Christ is on His way. How could you do this to me? Of all the families on earth, you only have I known. My sheep was lost in this world. To you my love was shown. I came to give repentance, forgiveness of your sins, to be a prince and savior, but you won't let me in. Instead, you delivered me unto the enemy with all your blasphemies. How could you do this to me? Stiff-necked and stuck in your ways, you broke the covenant. You only got a few days before I make my judgment. Oh, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What they do, what they do. I will plead with them face to face till I turn it back to you.
Yo, you thought I wasn't coming back? Imagine that, watch the sky crack when I attack. I held back the winds from the four corners. Now you were gonna watch my battle wax get bloody. No one above me to please them, to choose me, to bruise me, but nothing could move me. You refused me like you never knew me. I didn't have to do it when I carried your iniquity, your wickedly witchery. And you don't remember me, the whole world watched on my name. They lied, denied that I died, but so they pierced my side. Now I will return to burn, to unlearn, but the whole world heard. But
everything I do is for the Lord. If I breathe, I breathe for Christ. If I die, I die for Christ, no matter the price. Understand it, I present my body as a living sacrifice.
That's right.
Repent, for the kingdom of the Lord is at hand. The coming of Yahweh is not. And he prophesied when he was going to be born and died. I hope these cats realize that there ain't much time. First and foremost is Satan holds post. Keep your guards up and close with the armor of the Most High. He's not a man that he should lie. I hate when we teach Jake and they walk on by.
Christ is on his way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on his way. Will I find faith in thee? Christ is on his way. Come to end all this confusion. Christ is on his way. Establish eternal righteous ruling. Christ is on his way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on his way. Or will I find iniquity? Christ is on his way. I bear the sins of many. Christ is on his way. How could you do this to me? Christ is on his way. I'll hear the ready for me. Turn up the nations for way. Ain't gonna take this no more. Israel, you better enjoy. Come out and know this confusion. Turn up the nations for way. Ain't gonna take this no more. 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 Come take this confusion. Ain't gonna take this no more. Ain't gonna take this no more.
Greetings, village greetings. What's going on? Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Could have been any place, but you decided to be here tonight in the village. Thank you for being here. So, let me catch you up on what's been going on. My man, I believe it was Waffle, asked me why did I change the song from Saint's testimony. It seems that freestyle that he used, it was a Kodak Black beat. So they flagged me on that. So, we're going to have to work in the background and talk to Kodak Black's people and find out if, what we're going to have to do to get permission to use that again. So that's what's going on. Every time that I've used that song, I've never been flagged before. But when I start giving you guys the breakdown of the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, that's when they decide to flag me. Go figure. So, we are at war, at spiritual wickedness in high places. We all know that. So we come here to gather and get this information and disseminate it to each other so that we're able to help each other in whatever issues that we might have. I also put the link in the chat. If anyone, the channel, we believe in total anonymity. We believe that if you do have an issue, whether it be a man, woman, child, whatever your issue might be, if you're at that point where you need help, click the link, come in, and we'll converse and have a conversation and see what we can do. We're here to help. We're here to form love. We're here to educate each other and to get some information and hopefully be in a better place than what we were when we arrived. We need to understand that the world is changing in front of us. And if we can't open up our eyes to see that it is changing, then we're having a problem. We have a problem. So what I just want you guys to understand that we're having a problem. We have a problem. Hold on one second. What the hell is going on? So I just need you guys to understand what's going on. That the world will never go back to the way it was before this COVID. Everything happens for a reason. Everything. All right. So here at the village, we believe in a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual wellness. We believe in the truth. We don't believe in lying to you. We hold up a mirror to ourselves because we will be the biggest obstacles that we have to hurdle. We at Bolo TV hold a mirror up to everyone. There is no one special in the aspect of the truth isn't for you. The truth is for everyone. No matter how it's being said, no matter who gives you this information. Like my man Tommy said this earlier this evening when I was having a conversation with him, don't shoot the messenger. I'm only delivering the message. So we have 3 hashtags. I added one more, 4 hashtags. First hashtag is no more. We have to stop doing what they expect us to do. And I'm talking about the haves. We have to stop it. So the first hashtag is no more. We have to stop being the sheep. We have to stop being sheeple. Okay. Second hashtag is be the change. A lot of the times people look at other people and say, I wish that this would happen, or I wish with that would happen. Well, check this out. The change starts with you. Okay. I saw Tommy carrying the load, and I thought that it was unfair that one man carry the load and be and take all the attacks and all that stuff. So you know what? I decided to get on. All right. And the last one, well, the second to last is it takes a village. No one man is an island. We all need each other. We're all walking around here thinking we're whole. And literally, we have holes in our souls. A lot of us are walking with mental illness, depression, PTSD. We have to start learning that we have to do it with each other. We can't do it without each other. And I always say there's more strength in a fist than there is in a pinky. And the last hashtag is visitation rights is not for fathers, it's for inmates. So let's start getting understanding on the words that we use, because the words that we use, they carry spirits. We have to understand that everything that we do is spiritual. Okay. Everything that we do carries a frequency, a vibration. You're going to hear me use these words frequently. Okay. Resonate, because we have to start understanding that this is what the haves have studied. They have studied the human emotion, and they know what to do to get the rise out of us. This is not a joke. Okay, so we're going to go into the first video. Got a lot of windows open, so yeah, I gotta, forgive me for this. Hold on. Okay. We could use this one, doesn't matter. Okay. So this is what we need to understand, that everything works together in our bodies, right? We are 4 parts. Okay. And that's what creates us. 25% physical, 25% mental, 25% emotional. And the last, certainly not least, is the spiritual. Now, I'm just throwing out those numbers because this is what we do. We throw out arbitrary numbers that form the 100%. We have to try and keep these bodies in a perpetual balance. We have to try and keep them balanced as best as possible. And you come to find out that all of these doctors that say that they don't believe in faith and they don't believe in God and they don't believe in these things, you start to learn that this is what they use. All of the doctors that I'm going to show you today, they all say the same thing. They don't want to say spirit, but they use other key words that mean the same thing. So we have to start getting ourselves in an emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual balance. So before we start, I want to read a few scriptures. This is Ephesians 6 and 10. And I really need you guys to understand what I'm reading. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Talking about these days. These days were all, the days leading up to these days were all set up. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day. So that ye may withstand in the evil day, in the evil day. If you can't see that we're in these evil days, there's something wrong. And having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. So the first thing that you need to have is truth. That's what we need to operate in. Truth. Truth hurts oftentimes. It does. And it's meant to do that, because truth is supposed to help you grow. Now, on the journeys that, us as human beings, we get on, we're searching and we're trying to gain clarity and understanding and direction. The one advice that I would give anybody or anyone that I counsel is seek truth. Don't be offended by it, because truth is meant to help you. Oftentimes it does hurt, but it is what it is. It's truth. Let's read on. Wherefore, taking unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in that evil day, and having done all, to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. That's what Christ came to teach. He came to teach love, man. The strongest force on the planet. Love. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. That's that breastplate. That's that shield. So when they're shooting these little evil cliches or evil sayings at you, you're able to withstand it. You're able to brush it off because you know it's not true. So there's no need to be offended. You have to defend yourself, but defense and being offended is two different things. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints, and for me that uttereth may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, because this is a mystery. We were having a conversation earlier about the scriptures. Why is it not a book that you can read from front to back? Because it wasn't written that way. This book is not going to open up her petals to just anyone. You have to have faith. Okay, you have to be worthy of this knowledge. This isn't something that just opens up and gives itself to you. You have to study to show thyself approved. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. The book is a puzzle. So you go here and there, here a little, there a little. That's how the book was written. Let me finish. For which I am an ambassador in bonds. This is what we are also talking about, Tommy and I. We are in bonds. We are in slavery. When you're in the truth business, you're in slavery, because the way they treated our Lord and Savior Christ is the same way they're going to treat you. They're going to scold you, hate on you, call you profane names, accuse you of profane things with no proof. So if you're going to jump on this road of truth, understand that this is what you're signing up for. This is not an easy road, but it's a beautiful road. It's a road that when you meet fellow truthers, what I like to call them, they're sincere, and you've made friends and bonds forever. That therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. So when you talk in truth, you speak strong. There is no weakness here. The next scripture I'm going to read before we go into the video is 2 Timothy chapter 1, starting at verse 7. For God, okay, hold on. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. This is what we're dealing with. Love. Okay, that's the strength that we move in. You can't destroy love. Anything and everything else you can destroy. But the one thing you cannot is love. Okay, we don't operate in fear. Fear is the lack of information. Fear is the lack of understanding. So what do we do here? We come to you guys and try to disseminate this information, this education, so that we could take that fear from you, because they're going to use fear so that they can pass these laws. And these laws have already been passed, but they need you to be a willing participant to take your freedoms away. So we don't operate in the fear, but of power and of the love and of a sound mind. Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of the Lord, nor of me, his prisoner. There you go again. I'm a prisoner in this truth, and this is what you are. And keep in mind, you being a prisoner, keep in mind what happens to the prisoner. You get whipped on, beat on, spit on. This is what happened to our prime example, our apex example, Christ. We follow in that example. The scriptures tell you also that the world didn't love Christ, so it's not going to love you. If the world does love you, there's a problem. But be thou partakers of the affliction of the gospel, the affliction. The Lord is going to try us all in the affliction of fire. We all are going to be tried. There ain't no one that's not. According to the power of God. All right. So now that we got that through, I just want to put you guys in a spirit, in a state of mind, in a state of being, because this is what they want us to do. They want us to be disconnected from the spiritual side of who we are as spiritual beings. They want us to be disconnected. They want us to go through that hustle and bustle of every day like robots. That's what they want you to do. Okay. So this is part 4 of we are being attacked on 4 fronts, the physical being the last. Now, later in the video, I'll give you the breakdowns of what the 4 bodies and how they work and when they don't work together and what the adverse effect is. So let's get into it.
Your heart and thoughts race. Your palms sweat. Your stomach churns. You're afraid. This is your body on fear. Fear evolved in humans to protect us. When you're scared, your brain sets off an elaborate and coordinated response, even if there's no threat.
Understand what you just said. Your body releases a threat, a coordinated response, even if there is no threat. And she's going to explain, because there's a reason for that. Because when there is a threat, well, hell, I'm just going to spill the beans. When there is a threat, you don't have time to figure out what's going on. You have millimeters, you have seconds, nanoseconds to figure out what you need to do to get out of harm's way. And what I've always been telling you guys, she's going to explain a little bit more eloquently than I could.
Physical changes from deep inside your brain all the way to the muscles in your legs happen in seconds. That's because of your sympathetic nervous system, or your fight or flight response. It's part of your autonomic nervous system, which manages reflexes like breathing, digestion, and your heartbeat. Fear kicks your fight or flight response into overdrive. Your adrenal glands.
So that's the first thing it does. It kicks your adrenal glands into overdrive. Now that's, your adrenaline. That's what gives you the power to jump over that 8-foot fence when you need to, because that dog is chasing you. But this is the part that I need you to focus on. This is what we need to tap into more than that physical thing.
Glands secrete adrenaline. Blood flow decreases to your brain's frontal lobe, which is responsible for logical thinking and planning.
Let me replay that again for you guys. Listen to this.
Which is responsible for logical thinking and planning. Blood flow decreases to your brain's frontal lobe, which is responsible for logical thinking and planning. Your amygdala, a more animalistic part of your brain, takes over.
So this is what they want to do. They want to get you not to think. So this is why they push this fear on us. Can't be around each other. This coronavirus is crazy. It's killing everybody. It's doing all these things. There's a reason why they're pushing this agenda. There is a reason. This 5G thing that they are pushing is supposed to control a whole lot of things, man. And we're going to go into that also. But we need to understand what's going on. We need to start to gain control back of our physical bodies. Okay? That's what we need to start to gain control of, our physical bodies. We have to stop thinking animalistically. You go to the damn supermarket and everyone starts flipping out and buying toilet paper. This is what they want you to do, because now when you act like these animals, you're giving them the reason to come in and push that martial law. You're giving them the reason to come in and shut down what our freedoms are. This is what they want you to do. Let's not give them that reason. I'll play it again.
Your heartbeat. Fear kicks your fight or flight response into overdrive. Your adrenal glands secrete adrenaline. Blood flow decreases to your brain's frontal lobe, which is responsible for logical thinking and planning. Your amygdala, a more animalistic part of your brain, takes over. Your heart rate and blood pressure increase. You breathe faster and your muscles tense up. Your pupils dilate so you can see the threat more clearly. Blood flows away from your extremities, making your hands cold and clammy and making you feel flushed and sweaty. Your digestion slows down. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat.
Understand that. Your body doesn't know the difference between a perceived threat and a real threat. Why? Because when you go back, your brain is not thinking correctly. You're in that fight or flight mode. you're going to the part where I'm in fight or flight. I don't got time to really analyze what's going on. And you have to remember, in every issue, in every problem that we have in life, there is always a split second for you to respond and not to react. There's a difference. They want you to react, that knee jerk. They want you to do that. There's always some type of second, 2 second, whatever, in that issue where you can figure out a response. So I need you guys to understand that we need to start responding and stop reacting. The difference, reacting is no thought, no planning, knee jerk. Response, you put thought into it. You created a plan. You figured something out and you're going to apply it. You have some type of direction.
That's why your fight or flight response kicks in during things like public speaking or being in a crowd. To your fear response, you're always running from a predator in the woods. It's just trying to keep you alive.
So again, you weren't given the understanding because your mind, the blood is not going to your mind anymore. It's not going to the part of the brain that's part of the logistical portion of it. It's not going there anymore. You have to understand that when the Lord created us, we are amazing in creation, and the environment, and it affects the way we think. And don't get it twisted. Like my man Tommy said this evening earlier, Satan knows the scriptures well, very well. So he knows how to put you in an environment to make you think that this is what you need to do. He knows this. He knows you better than you. So this is why you have to seek truth. Because the truth is truthfully going to open you up to who you truly are. You're not going to lie to yourself anymore. Because the only person that you can't lie to is yourself. You need to understand that. So that's the first video that I just need you guys to, I'm trying to put you in a mind frame of what's going on and what we need to do to stand strong and to understand what we need to do to get through this together. Because if we don't do this together, there is no way we're going to get through this. We have to do this together. That's why Christ says, forsake ye not the assembly of one another. This is why he says that. Why? So that we can talk to each other. Where I'm weak, you're going to make me strong. Where you're weak, I'm going to make you strong. This is what we're trying to do. You know, there's a lot of us that are ignorant to certain things. And being ignorant isn't a bad thing. It just means that you don't know. That's all it means. But you being someone ignorant, it is your duty to find out the truth. That's the duty of man on this earth, to find out what the truth is. Not to wear the latest Jordans or the latest Louis Vuitton or red bottoms. It's not. We're here now. I'm not telling you can't get those things, because I myself like getting those things, right? But this is not what my life is wrapped around. My life is wrapped around truth. So when you meet other truthers and they're speaking truth, you sit there, although you may not like the person, you can't fight what the person is saying. Again, don't hate on the messenger. Because here's the thing. The Lord is so awesome in his power that he will use anyone and anything to get his word across. You better understand that. Because I think that we figure out that the Lord needs us, and this is why we act the way we act. Well, let me tell you, he doesn't need us, man. We need him. And I think the quicker we get that understanding, the quicker we will all be. We need him. He does not need us. So before I go on to the next video, let me give some shout outs to some of the people up in the chat, up in the room. And thank you again, Miss Heather J. or Saint, Waffle, AGAG, Jerome Bigham. Haven't seen you in a minute. What's going on, my brother? Natalie V. Hey, hey. Winnie Pooh. What's going on? Summer Breeze. Hey. Naja. Hey, hey. Seeley. What's going on? Shy 144. Hey. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate everyone for being here. We are in those times where we need to start focusing on what's going on around us. You know, I remember Tommy had a Bumble D. What up, baby? Tia, what's going on? You're new. Hey, Tia. Let's all welcome Tia to the village, man. Let's all welcome her. Send out hugs, hearts, all that. We have a new villager here. I remember I was talking to Tommy. Now I forgot my point, but it'll come back. So like, share, subscribe. All right, everybody, like, share, and subscribe. We are nothing without each other. I can't tell you enough that we are nothing without each other. Okay? Ethiopian, that's another one. Ethiopian Libra, she's new. Well, I'm hoping it's a she. Well, let's welcome Ethiopian Libra, whether it's a woman or a man. Let's give some hugs. We need each other. Okay, I got my point. So I remember Tommy had a stream and he had his homeboy Special K. And Special K was talking about, voting and he brought up an example of saying that there's a fire in the community. And the fire is we need to get our voices heard in Congress. Now, I didn't disagree with him on that. What I did disagree with him on was the fire. I don't believe the fire is us as the have-nots getting our voices heard in Congress. I believe that the fire is us not loving each other, us not helping each other, us not dealing and getting help with our mental disease and our mental illness and our PTSD, us not dealing with our young daughters and our young sons, women not letting their fathers see their children, us killing each other, right? So we get upset when the white man shoots us, but we don't get upset when we shoot each other. We're ready to tear down the city when a white cop shoots a black child or a white cop shoots a Hispanic child. We kill each other every day, but we don't fight that. We kill each other every day. We don't pick it, right? When a black child gets shot by a white cop, Black Lives Matter is out there, which they should be, right? Because our lives matter, right? Why aren't they out there when we kill each other? I don't see them. I don't see the news. I don't see it. So the thing is this, before I pay someone else's phone bill, I got to pay mine. Before I help you from drowning, I have to help myself. So if you want someone, and this is specifically right now to the Black and Hispanic community in the have-nots, right? Because we have a lot of communities in the have-nots. But this right here, I'm talking to my Black and Hispanics, right? If you want the world to respect you, start respecting yourselves first. If you want the world to value your life, start valuing your life. Start loving your sisters. Start loving your brothers. start loving your children. Because no one is going to value you if you don't value your own. Understand that. Let me say that again. No one is going to value you if you don't value you. I think I'm going to make that a hashtag. No one will value you if you don't value you. Exactly, Ethiopian Libra. You have to love yourself. And what do I say before I sign off? Love yourself, then love each other. Because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to know how to give love to someone else. It's going to be fake. It's not real. And I'm sure in the chat, we all know people who are fake. I know a few. I can rattle off a few names right now. So we have to love each other and understand that in this time that we're coming into, we need each other. In this time that we are coming in, if you don't see the issues that we are having, there is a problem with you. Let me give you an example of how we need each other. Your neighbor has hand sanitizer and you don't. You guys have never spoken to each other, never said hello, and you live right next door. But now you're in need. Now you want your neighbor to give you some hand sanitizer. Hell, give you some food. These are the relationships that we need to form now. Because in the time of stress, believe me, your neighbor is not going to look at you as family. They're not going to look at you as a community or a village. See, a village takes care of each other. If I see my neighbor needs help, I'm going to give my neighbor help. But if we're strangers, I'm going to walk right over you. This is what we need to stop doing. Christ came to teach community. He came to teach love, loving each other. That's why Christ said, how can you say you love your God whom you don't see, but yet your brother you see every day, you don't love him? You're a hypocrite. You know why? Because those that seek truth and those that are about truth have God in them. So by you loving your brother and loving your sister and loving the children that do not have to be yours, you are loving God because God lives in you. He's in the temple. Yeah, or saying we need each other. Ethiopian Libra says, when I was growing up, we did. There you go. For some reason, we've lost that community in the late 90s and 2000. We lost it, but we need to get back to it. Let's go on to the next video. So what I'm trying to show you, last week I showed you how stress and how what they're doing, how it affects us emotionally and mentally. Now I'm trying to show you that mentally you take in the information. Emotionally you process it. Physically is how it's shown. Okay, let me say it again. Mentally you take in the information that is given to you. Emotionally you process it, and physically is how it comes out. Okay?
So what do you need to know about stress? First, you need to know that too much stress not only feels bad, it can actually make you physically sick and can impair your brain, including your memory, decision-making, and how you perform at school, at work, and in your personal relationships. So what is stress? Stress is actually a form of fear. Stress comes from using our mind in ways that make us feel afraid even when there's nothing to be afraid of. You might be asking, why on earth would we do that? First, let's see what these fears are and what they look like in our life. There are two scenarios where fear gets triggered. One is an actual life-death scenario, such as being attacked by a wild animal. In these scenarios, we'll go into fight or flight mode, and this is a good thing. The other scenario is that our fear is triggered, but it is not a life-death scenario. This happens because we are afraid of things that won't actually kill us. It's just that our imagination makes it feel like they will. These are things like fear of being rejected, fear of being laughed at, fear of being alone, fear of failure, and fear of not being noticed. When these fears get triggered and it's not an actual life-death situation, our fight or flight system will kick into gear, and this takes the form of us feeling angry, blaming, mean-spirited, aggressive, irritated, as well as depressed, anxious, and overwhelmed.
How many of us feel that way? How many of us in the chat feel that way? Type a 1 if you feel that way. Any of those things that she just mentioned. Because I know at times I feel that way. From the stresses of the world, from the stresses of what I'm dealing with. All of these things keep you from tapping in and understanding what you're going through. It keeps you from thinking. And that's what they want to do. They want to put you in that mind frame of not thinking. They want you to be mindless drones. And when I say they, we're talking about the haves, right? The spiritual wickedness that operates in high places. Let me explain something to you guys. This isn't about color, man. This ain't no black or white thing. Black or brown thing, black or yellow thing. This ain't that. This is about the haves and the have-nots. This is about sleight of hand. They want you to focus on the black and white because they don't want you looking higher than that. They want you to focus on Trump making stupid statements and saying dumb things like take Clorox and inject it into your blood and see if that helps you. They want you to focus on that because they don't want you to focus on what's really happening. Open your eyes and look at what's going on around the world. Step back from that 50 print picture. Step back. Take a panoramic view. This ain't just about you. It never has been, and it never will be. It's about all of us. Not just you. All of us. It's about the village, man. That's what it's about. While you guys are arguing about nonsense, watching chicks twerk and shake their ass on Instagram, our freedoms are being taken away. Our children are being taken away. You better understand what they're passing. This ain't a damn game. This is real. Focus. Please, focus.
The reason we act out like this is because our brain has a built-in alarm system that helps us act quickly to get out of danger without analyzing too much. For example, if a car was racing towards you, you don't have time to start calculating how fast the car is going or how fast you can run. You just need to get out of the way.
And you think that they don't study that? You think they don't? They want to dumb you down. They don't want you thinking about what the actual issue is. They don't want you thinking. They don't want you asking, I don't understand why you would put someone on a respirator. Why would you let them crash? Why wouldn't you let them use a CPAP? Why would you automatically put them on a respirator? Why would you wait for them to crash? When you know respirators are no good for your lungs. The pressure that a respirator puts on your lungs is no good. Why? Because of that fear, because what they're trying to do, their agenda is to take your freedoms away. Their agenda is to push this vaccine. I don't know if you guys heard Bill Gates or Fauci, but what he's saying is this world, for it to go back to some type of normalcy, we must have a worldwide vaccine that everyone needs to take. It gets scarier. I'm here to show you the truth. That's what I'm here to do. What did my man say, Morpheus say? Listen, all I can do is show you the truth. Whether you accept it or not, that's your choice, man. That's your choice. I'm not here to convert none of you guys. None of you. I'm here to show you what the truth is, and what you do with that information is on you.
In order to do this quickly enough, the brain cannot waste extra time analyzing all of the information coming in. So it takes a really fast snapshot and then divides everything into only two categories, threat or non-threat. Once something is seen as
And they count on you thinking that way.
a threat, a part of the brain called the amygdala basically gets top command over everything.
So the amygdala is the part of the brain that starts to push the adrenaline. Right? So it draws the blood away from your hands and from your extremities. Why? Because if you need to climb over a fence, you need not to feel that pain. You'll feel it later. Don't think that these guys have not tested this, man. Don't think that they have not tested sicknesses, Tuskegee experiments. Don't think that they have not done this. They've studied this. They have the answers. All they're doing right now is formulating the question. That's all they're doing. Like Michael Jackson said, they don't care about us. They don't care. And any of these artists that tried to say something and later in their careers, they've all been drug overdose. All of them died of drug overdose. So if you guys hear me die of a drug overdose, I don't do drugs. You guys need to understand, man, we're fighting for our children's lives. You're fighting for your wife's life. You're fighting for your life, husband, men. Stop being a part of the damn problem. Lift your pants up. Be a man. Provide, lead, guide. Teach. That's what we're supposed to do.
And shuts off access to many other parts of the brain so that you don't spend time analyzing. This means that even when we're in situations like an argument or feeling afraid of rejection or seeing a person who looks or acts differently than what we're used to, there's a good chance your brain will just quickly throw those things into the threat category, and you'll act out that threat before the rest of your mind has a chance to analyze it.
This is what they're counting on. They don't want you analyzing the situation. They don't want you saying, damn, you know what? We need to start to chill. We need to relax. They're counting on you to act like an animal so that you can give them that reason to do what the hell they were already going to do. We need to stop. You have a man named Tommy Sotomayor who teaches and tries to reach millions of people. And I listen to the attacks that these other YouTubers give him. They attack his daughter. They attack his mother. They attack his family. They attack his children's mother. Tugs. We're animals, man. I'm speaking to the black man now. We don't have to have the white man kill us anymore. We're doing a better job of it. We're doing a very good job of killing each other. We don't have to do that anymore. White men don't have to do it. We're doing it. We got to stop this, man. We have to start to learn how to articulate and how to speak with our words if you disagree with someone. We have to learn to be able to converse with people. Let's stop killing each other, man. Let's stop killing us. That kid you kill, he may have the cure for cancer. Don't you understand that they're not the enemy? We're not the enemy. The haves are the enemy. the people that have the cure to cancer, but they'd rather treat your symptoms because you give them more money than the cure. They make more money off your symptoms than the cure. Those are the people we need to be upset at.
And realize that it may not actually be a threat to your survival. Anytime you find yourself not acting in a confident, loving way, and instead you're saying or doing things you regret, acting mean or angry, feeling hopeless or depressed, it means that you are likely in a form of fight or flight, which means you are not using most of your brain. Some of us have fear systems that are more active or sensitive than others. This can happen when we have spent a lot of time in environments where people are regularly stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, or angry. Like we saw in the last video, the more you use a network, the stronger it gets. The more you're around other people who are stressed, angry, overwhelmed, the more your fear networks will be activated. And
now, I remember when I speak to you guys, and I always tell you that if you hang out with 11 broke people, sooner or later you'll become the 12th. Listen to what she's saying, okay? You need to understand that the vibration of negative will overcome you if you stay in an environment that is overwhelmingly negative. You need to understand that. This is scientifically proven. This ain't something new that we're trying to give you. This ain't something new that I'm coming out my ass to give to you. This is science, man. This is the truth. You need to surround yourself with better people than you or people that think like you so that you will always be on the incline and not the decline. You have to surround yourself with people that love you truthfully. Listen to what she is saying.
network, the stronger it gets. The more you're around other people who are stressed, angry, overwhelmed, the more your fear networks will be activated, and the more you will start to build up networks that get stronger and stronger in detecting threat.
So the stronger you'll be in that damn negative thing. I don't know why she didn't just say it. You have to surround yourself with people of love, not negativity, because it will engulf you. You will get caught up. You will fall victim. You have to surround yourself with like-thinking people. That doesn't mean they think like you exactly, but they're about truth. That's what this is about. People trying to survive, people trying to spread love, people trying to spread positivity, people trying to spread information, education, healization. I know that wasn't a word, but I just wanted to rhyme it. Healing. That's what we need to do, man. We've been hurting too long. And this separation that they're trying to create between us is only going to hurt us more.
After a while, a lot of things will trigger your fight or flight reaction, even if they're not threats to your survival.
If you stay in that environment. Ethiopian Libra says, but some people are empaths and don't realize it. And why don't they realize it? Ethiopian, do you know why? I'll wait for you to respond. Do you know why they don't realize it? Exactly, Winnie. Exactly. She writes, I don't know. Look, well, Winnie said it because they don't, they're asleep. We're all empaths. Do you know what being an empath is? It means that you are in tune with who you are. You're in tune with your environment. So and you have to understand something. We are all antennas, right? It's like, I'll give you an example. You walk into a room and you feel the vibration in that room. You feel the frequency in that room. There's something wrong. How the hell do you know? You just walk in. That's because your receptors, who you are as a person. And that's why I tell you, when the Lord created us, he created us. We are glorious creations. You pick up that energy. You pick up that vibration. You pick it up. You don't know exactly what it is, but you know something ain't right in this room. And you might say it, yo, listen, the room is so thick I can cut the air. It's so thick in here. She writes, how are we all empaths when some are narcs? They choose to be a narc. These are all choices that you're making. Everything that we become, it's a choice. Some people choose to stay asleep. Remember in the Matrix when my man said, I know that this beef ain't real. I know it's not. Put me back to sleep. Because this truth keeps you, it's hard. And you know what? I'll find that part for you so you can gain some clarity of what I'm trying to say. All of us are empaths. Some people choose to acknowledge it and take that road. All of us are antennas. There's some people that walk and say, I know that I'm an antenna. And there's some people that say, man, I'm just going to walk to and fro on this planet and not know a goddamn thing. So let me run through this video and then I'll show you that.
In order to not let fear and stress negatively affect your life, what you need to do is override the fear system that might be in overdrive. The good news—
You hear what she said? You have to override that. You can't continue living in that fear. You have to override. You have to. You don't have a choice. We've been living in fear all our lives. We've been living carnally all our lives. There's just a few of us that have been living spiritually. Just a few. It's time to awaken the others.
news is that you actually have the power to override this system. The power is built in our brain. It's just that most people have no idea this exists or how to use it. There are 3 techniques that can activate this.
All right, we ain't gonna go into that. Hold on, Matrix. All right, so this right here is for you, Ethiopia. All right, let me get this to you. So you're talking about how do we know empaths and some of us are narcs? We all have the choice of either to take the red pill or the blue pill. We all have the choice of whether to take the truth or to stay in that lie. All of us have that choice. Okay. A lot of us choose the not to take the pill. Now this is the Matrix. Now check this out.
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
Now this is after Cypher, because Cypher, remember, Cypher never liked being unjacked from the Matrix. Now what does that mean, unjacked? You're no longer part of it. You actually, your eyes is actually open. You actually see what's going on in this construct. You actually see that these guys are lying to us, that they want to keep us asleep. You see it. You take responsibility in trying to spread the truth. He was tired of it. He wanted to go back to sleep. It was too much of a responsibility for him. So he tried to strike a deal with the agents. So he made that choice to go back to sleep and not be that antenna, not be that empath to understand what's going on around him.
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious.
Now remember, your reaction to what life is electrical. It's all electrical and chemical. The way we react to this world is electrical and chemical, right? When you touch something chemically, it sends chemically and electrically, it sends an electrical jolt to your brain to say, this is what this is. Some people are chemically imbalanced, so they function in this world different than others that are not. So listen to what he said again. You guys need to watch this movie in the veil of truth, because this is heavy. Truth cannot be given to you. Truth can only be shown to you. You have to ingest that red pill and take it.
After 9 years, you know what I realized? Ignorance is bliss.
Wow. If that ain't the devil, I don't know what is. Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
Now, this is the devil talking. This is the devil saying, so we have a deal in, my G. Because this dude knew what was going on. He knew. And this, you got to understand, the name of the place that they were staying was called Zion. That's what the Lord calls Israel, his chosen. Zion. This is not no damn mistake. This is not done by mistake. This is done by design. There's a spiritual warfare going on. And if you choose to be ignorant of it, then okay. You choose to be ignorant of it. But let me say this, and I say this all the time. Whatever you get, you deserve. Whatever you get, you deserve.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? And I want to be rich. You know, someone important.
So the point is, this is what they always say. I want bread. And that's how Satan gets you. He gets you with the money. He gets you into believing, you know what, if you have money, if you get money, you're a better person. And you know what the scriptures say about people with money? For some reason, people with money, everyone listens to, as if they're deep, as if they're heavy. You'll sit down and listen to the biggest idiots. Let's go into hip hop. You listen to some of, you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to go, hey, how you doing, sir? Or talk to me. Tell me about, I want to show you about interviews with these idiots that they have. Let's look at idiots videos, and then we'll go back into the video, man, because I need to show you people that are in the matrix. These dudes are idiots. I can't find it, but I'll get to it. So the point of the matter is, man, they want you to stay asleep. We have to awake. Now, if you choose to stay asleep, it's all good. I got no problem. But this is how these rappers talk. There was one rapper they asked about, you know, how do you feel about what's going on? And they asked about someone being shot. And he's like, you know what I'm saying? Straight up, I got this jewelry on and I'm sitting there chilling. I don't know if one of you guys know who it is, but I'm chilling and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. That's all I know. It's like, yo, these dudes are idiots, man. They can't speak. Listen to them. NAMI and know what I'm saying comes out of their mouth every third word. Every third damn word. And because our young little girls don't have examples of what a good father is, because they're being held from their children, Our little girls are attracted to these degenerate idiots because they don't know what a good man is. Our little girls sell their bodies because they don't know what they're worth. How can I demand my value if I do not know what my worth is? Let me say it again. How can I demand my value if I do not know what my worth is? How can you go into the diamond district and say, I need $1 million for this diamond if you don't know what the worth is, man? Then you don't know what the value is. This is common sense 101. But we're so sick that we walk around broken and don't even know we need healing. Let's go into the next video of how they use fear. This right here, I showed this video on Wednesday. We're going to go deeper into it. For those that didn't see it, we're going to go deeper into it. This is how they use fear. Now remember, the reason why I show the first part is to show that you can control your fear. Right? I'm not telling you that there's nothing out there to be afraid of. What I am telling you is we need to slow it down and give ourselves a second to think about what we need to do. How can you not let your children have their father? How can you not help that child that needs something to eat? How can you not help each other? How are you so quick to say the white man is killing us, but you're so easy to pull that trigger on your own brother and sister? I don't get it. I don't understand it. But we're so upset when the so-called white man do something. We're so pissed off. But we do the same thing to each other on a much bigger scale. A much bigger scale nowadays. But no one feels or no one speaks up against it. But when the few who do speak against it, you want to call them coons, Uncle Toms, sellouts, pedophiles. You guys are disgusting. Disgusting. You're evil. And for those of you that know what you're doing, you're going to get your just rewards. I promise you that. None of these things are going to go unanswered. I promise you.
Fear is one of the most powerful human emotions. While highly useful in situations where threat of immediate harm exists, it is the most debilitating and dangerous of emotions when present unnecessarily. In this video, we will examine how fear can be used as a tool to manipulate others, and how those in positions of power, past and present, have effectively used fear to control certain aspects of society. Humans, especially since the Industrial Revolution, have become increasingly protected from the dangers that our ancestors faced in relation to the natural world. But as mankind's fear of nature and the elements has fallen, in its place many other fears have come to fill the void. Some of these fears have arisen in response to real threats, but many have been in response to things imagined, as the Stoic philosopher Seneca pointed out. There are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. While some of these imagined fears are of one's own making, many are the consequence of narratives created by those in positions of power. Individuals.
Let's play that again.
While some of these imagined fears are of one's own making, many are the consequence of narratives created by those in positions of power.
And what are the narratives? This COVID. is 5G. They're not giving you the information to help yourselves. Now, I'm not saying to you that COVID is not a virus. I'm not saying that to you. I'm not saying that you don't need to protect yourself. How do you protect yourself? A lot of you people are taking in the Cloroxes, and you're taking in the Lysols, and that inhalant is a poison in itself. So you're trading one poison for another, right? So there are better ways to protect yourself. And I'll give you an example of that. We all know viruses do not like heat. All viruses do not like heat. And this virus, it shows its symptoms like a cold. So what I suggest, instead of you using the Lysol and instead of using the Clorox, what you can get is a portable steamer. In Walmart, Target, or any of your variety stores, they're only $15. You don't need to get the high-tech joint. It's $15. You use that steamer to steam your doorknobs, your kitchen countertops, your handrails. That extreme heat will kill all viruses on tap, and it's natural. For those that have babies, you can't go around using Clorox, Lysol. It affects the children. Use the steamers. Viruses do not like extreme heat. This is why this virus starts in your nose, in your mouth, in your eyes. Let me ask you a question. Everyone in the chat, in the village, who has a dog or a cat? Type 2 if you have a dog or a cat. All right, so Bumble D has a cat or a dog. Or a Saint writes, I had one once. I'm sure. Nah, just has a cat or a dog. Okay, so I guess not too many people have cats or dogs. Okay, she says she has a dog. Okay, Tia says a cat. Okay, so when you touch your cat or dog's nose, is it hot or cold? When you touch your cat or dog's nose, is it hot or cold? Tia writes cold. Or a Saint writes cold. I'll wait for Bumble D. Winnie Pooh says cold. Nadia writes cold. Okay, so there's a reason why it's cold, right? So being that your nose, he writes cold, being that your nose, mouth, and eyes, it's a lower temperature than the rest of your body. Your body is 98.6% degrees. This virus cannot survive when it first enters into your body. It enters through your mucous membranes because it's colder. So it needs that cold to incubate. So it infects your upper respiratory system, which is your nose, eyes, mouth. And then as it gets stronger in that incubation stage after 2 or 3 days, right, it goes into your lower respiratory system, which is your lungs. So this is what you do to protect yourself after you come in from outside in the street. You boil the hot water, you put sea salt, and you put either oranges, lemons, garlic, or onions into the water. And you inhale that for 15 to 20 minutes to kill the virus in your mucous membranes, your nose or your mouth. You drink hot tea. You keep your body at a higher temperature. You treat this like it's a cold. Before you go into the hospitals, you treat this like it's a cold. Because if you go into the hospitals, you are automatically COVID positive. Automatically. When you go into that hospital, you're automatically positive. It's a flu. Now, if it gets stronger than that, then fine, go into the hospital. But if you have these symptoms, do not be so quick to go into the hospital, and I will show you why. Tune in. Unlike the goddamn news, I'm not going to say, tune in now, and then tell you, we're going to show you this at 3 o'clock. When they're telling you, can this kill you? We're going to show it today. They're spiking the numbers of the COVID deaths. You can get, a snake can choke your ass. A snake can choke you. You go into that goddamn hospital with that snake around your neck, you die, they're saying it's a COVID death. That's facts. That's what they're saying. If you don't believe me, look at the stream I did last week. This is what they're doing to pad the numbers, to frighten you. Now, I'm not telling you that this virus isn't real. What I am telling you is they're using fear to get to you. You can protect yourself. So you do that and you inhale that for 15 to 20 minutes. Now that portable steamer that you have, you steam your clothes. Because not everyone has access to a washer or dryer on tap. You steam your clothes. These are the things you can do. They're not telling you what you can do to protect yourself. They're not. They're not going to tell you. All they're going to tell you is social distancing. That's all they're going to say. But you have to treat this like a flu. You have to drink hot water periodically if you come down with this. You have to. So that you can wash all of that into your acids in your stomach. If you don't believe me, do the knowledge yourself. Please. I beg you, I implore you. That's why we put this chat, we put this link in the chat. If you got some information that's going to help the village, I see someone in the chat. We're going to bring that person on. So we're going to hold on. Hold on. We're bringing this person in. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm okay. Talk to me.
Hey, I was listening to the show, and I just want to thank you for your knowledge, the truth, and the research. And I agree with everything. Like, you hit all of the points professionally that needs to be hit. Like, you giving them so much value. Watching this video was a very valuable video. It was something you said about the stress. I deal with stress, and I know that you can have chronic stress that is a form of emotional abuse, and fear is like the enemy gives us fear and God gives us faith. And to get faith, we have to hear like the word of God. You know, we have to hear. The children know his voice when they hear. They have to hear.
What's your name, by the way?
You can call me Miss Sarah.
Miss Sarah? Well, welcome to the village. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, what do you mean? What kind of stresses are you dealing with?
Well, my stress comes from my past. I have a history of violence. abandonment.
What do you mean by violence?
Well, when I was in my childhood, I've been choked out by my nana's husband.
Wow.
I've been molested by my father at 11, and I was abandoned by my mom for the streets. They said she was sick, but I found out later on her drug of choice was cocaine or crack, and so she had to give us up. We lived with roaches and dogs, rats, and cats when we were with her. So, and with family members, it's just a lot, just the poverty. I was diagnosed with chronic depression in my adulthood, and I had to go through, I've had church, like going to Bible study. A lot of that helped with my foundation in God in Christ. And now that I'm older and getting the professional help, I was able to put it all together on my journey of self-healing.
Right. Do you have any children?
Yeah, I have 2 sons.
Okay. Are their father in their life?
Yes.
That's great. So how has it affected you as far as being a mother, as far as being, are you still with the children's father?
No.
So how has it affected you as being a single mom and trying to hold it down and just trying to operate in life?
I would say it's a blessing in disguise, but it was a time where I couldn't see it that way because I was always in a lot of fear, operating in a lot of fear.
Right. So, it's unfortunate that, there's a lot of things that happens to us. And sometimes in these things that do happen to us, the Lord wants us to use our strength that we've gained from those experiences as a testimony to those that are just a tad bit weaker than what we were in those situations. So yeah. I'm so glad that you went and got help and that you seeked help so that you can put all of your issues into perspective so that you are able to operate and navigate through this world. I'm so glad. So can you please tell the village how getting help and how, getting truth, how it helped you to being a good mother, to being a good person, and to how it helped you to heal?
Well, it started, when things started to go wrong, I don't know if it's true or not what they're saying about me. I start to believe the lies. I start to believe I was a bad person. And so I treated it as if I'm a bad or sick person, I need to get help. So I would search for knowledge, holistic, because I tried the hospitals when I was younger, but unfortunately for me, it wasn't for me. And I was still sick with symptoms and things like that. So I had to find something that will work for me, something actually more potent. And for me, what Mother Nature has for me is actually more potent.
What do you mean? What do you mean Mother Nature had for you is more potent? What do you mean?
As far as things that are more natural, like I was on a lot of processed food. I didn't know about acidic water or alkaline water. I didn't know that I was dehydrated or malnourished. I didn't know about nutrition, but I knew about, fitness.
So let me explain what you're saying to the chat. Yeah. Basically, what she's saying is, in your depression, and because I am depressed, I have depression. So in your depression, in your sickness, in your PTSD, there are foods that you can take. There are vitamins that you can take that will help you and heal you to a certain point. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there are foods, there are vitamins, the zinc, the vitamin D's, the C's, the phosphate. There are things that you can do to give your brain that food to help yourself, to help you heal yourself to a certain point. Go ahead, dog. I'm sorry. Go ahead, darling.
I want to add on to that. I had found out about my blood. One time I tried to donate blood on a blood mobile, and they tested my blood and they said I could never donate blood. It would kill me because she showed me a tube, and I think it's more plasma than blood or something. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's just that that she said I had 2 different types of anemia. One is the sickle cell trait, where my blood cells are shaped like a sickle cell, and the thalassemia is when the blood like shatters like glass. And so I had to take iron, for example. They prescribed me iron pills. Well, because I didn't have the knowledge about like Mother Nature and herbs, they never told me that another way to get iron is actually to eat dark leafy greens.
Right.
And drink orange juice. Vitamin C helps the body absorb it. And then I didn't know about detox, that if you have, parasites or stomach bugs, if you're not able to kill or flush them out, as you said, like flush them out, and you're like, I deal with a lot of constipation, and I thought it was from taking the prescription iron pills, but it was because I was being backed up because of the dehydration, not flushing anything out for long periods of time, and then drinking acidic water and not knowing.
Right.
So I'm absorbing any water.
Let me add this to what you're saying. A lot of the sicknesses that we get, and I'm talking about the cancers and the leukemias and the things of that nature, it comes from our bodies not being oxygenated. We get a lot of these sicknesses because our body doesn't have oxygen in it, enough oxygen. And eating these dead foods, like you said, these processed foods, we need to start getting back to a plant-based diet. We need to start juicing. We need to start eating and drinking these juices that actually have some type of nutrients in it that our bodies can feed from it. Because we're eating these foods that are dead and we're not getting anything from it. Yes, probiotics and things of that nature. We need to start getting into that. But I digress. Go ahead, darling. I'm sorry.
During my journey, I found so much about myself, and now I take more action into investing in my search for, truth, knowledge, what works for me. Superfoods, like I take the chlorella and spirulina now. And it was crazy because growing up, I would get made fun of breaking out. I had internal body odor. I smelled so much like filth. I smelled like a perro, like a dog. And so I didn't even want to leave or go nowhere. Like everybody's tripping about the lockdown. I've been locked down all my life because I didn't want to, and then it was crazy because like having to get help, you have to go through that humiliation. Well, I did, but they don't have to if they take heed and act now. But I had to go through the humiliation of like, okay, but you still got to go to these support groups. You still got to take these mental assessments. You have to do all of these court orders if you're going to be a fit parent, to be that for your child. Now,
hold on 1 second, darling. Hold on 1 second. I see you. I'm gonna bring you in as soon as she's done. I'm gonna bring you in as soon as she's done. Go ahead, darling.
And so I wouldn't want to go because I'm like, I think they're gonna talk about me, but I did it. I just went through it and completed things and got my certificate, completed my probation and, things like that, following through. And now,
go ahead, take your time, darling. We ain't in a rush. Take your time. Take your time.
I found out about the meta nature, and I found out about the medicine wheel from the Native American astrology, and by accident, just like the divine holy soul or spirit guide me in the library, and I saw this book, and I'm like, I wonder what this is, because I was always girly into astrology, and I found out that the Native Americans have knowledge of certain herbs based off the zodiac. The body would have certain type of problems based off the zodiac. So I'm like, well, let me test it on myself and see if it's true. Can't be any harm to it if it's from the earth. And I've tried anything from the doctor. This can't be any. So for example, I said, well, let me just find out about myself before I find out about everybody else, my sons, and you know, and test it on myself. And I'm a Gemini.
You're gonna be the guinea pig.
Yes. And I found out that my animal totem was the elk, and my animal spirit was the deer, which goes into like an animal of like grace. And you know, they sometimes when there's danger, they see the flash and they just stand there and get hit. That's me. And what happens with that, like that animal, there's other clans and tribes that are predator animals, and I'm not a predator animal, so I might beef a little bit with other, you know, zodiacs, because they might be a predator, you know. And so I learned that about that, and then I found out about a meditation color is yellow. So if I meditate on yellow, it'll put me in a better mood, happier mood. So I know to wear yellows, and also get better feedback when people see me in yellow or gold. And I found out about my medicine plant for my zodiac, and I get a lot of stomach problems, bowel problems, flatulence. Like I'll get around someone, get really gassy, and I hated that in school. Like especially sitting next to a boy you like, and the girl in front of you that hates you, and it's just embarrassing. And I found out that based on the medicine wheel, that there's a plant called the yarrow. Have you heard of it?
Yarrow, yes.
And it helps with the intestinal problems and female problems. Like, you know, we always go for the ibuprofen, but if you take too many ibuprofens, like I would do, like 800 milligrams, I would take probably 2 for my period because they were so bad. I didn't want to deal with the pain. But I found out, someone told me on the bus, a guy said he ended up getting an ulcer for like overdose. Too much of the ibuprofen can cause an ulcer, internal bleeding.
So let me ask you this. Don't mean to cut you off. What made you realize that you needed to get help? When did you come to that conclusion that you said, you know what, I need to go get professional help?
Well, actually, it was things got so bad, which goes back into the flight and stress you were talking. Things got so stressful, and my relationships, they were toxic, and I didn't have the knowledge to know it was that bad until it got that bad, and I got locked up. And when they released me, I kind of got set up. It's just the universe giving you that spank on the butt, and I got it worse because I was a child of the Most High. I got it so worse, but I got. So you know what happens?
You know what happens with that? A lot of the times we don't take the time to sit down and hear. You know, we're so fast. You know, we need to start to learn that you have to be in the moment at times. Sometimes you have to just sit down and slow down and just let the Lord speak to you. Take it in. You know, when we're too fast and we're moving too much, we're not getting it. So sometimes the Lord needs to put you in jail and say, okay, you know what? You need some time to think. So we're going to lock you down because I'm trying to give you the information, but you're not sitting down and ingesting it. You're not taking it in. You're not meditating on it so that it can take hold of you. And I did a stream on this where our bodies are so much, computers are based off our bodies and our brain, right? So you have the subliminal and the subconscious. Subconscious and the conscious. So how does a computer work? You have an iPhone or an Android. You get a download, all right, or upgrade. And that upgrade comes to you and you hit install. When it installs, it then reboots, right? And then it applies all of that information. That's what we do every day. we are bombarded with information daily that our subconscious takes in, right? And when we sleep, it's uploading into our conscious from our subconscious. And then as we wake up, it's installed, and that's how we operate and walk. So sometimes in our daily lives, we move too much, and we're not getting the message that the Lord is trying to send us. And you're gonna get it because He wants you, right? So once He has His eye on you, it's either you're gonna get it the easy way or the hard way. It's up to you. And a lot of us are hard-headed, and it's not, this is just how our parents raised us. We hard-headed. So you're either going to get it the easy way or the hard way. A lot of times we get it the hard way. And through that hard way of us learning those things, it makes us stronger, but we have so many bumps and bruises. So let me ask you this. Why are you not with your children's father?
Whew.
You have to take a deep breath for that one.
Whew, okay. I love him and everything like that. Well, first of all, he does not love me anymore. Let's put that out there. Everything was, it's my fault. I take accountability for what I've done. And I was not right within. I was disobedient, and I wasn't patient, and my intent with the Lord, I put man, and maybe I put myself before the Most High or the Lord. I stopped using my gift, and everything got taken away.
How was he as a man to you? How was he? Was he a good man to you?
No.
So he wasn't. So I'm trying to figure out how you were the blame if he wasn't a good man to you.
Because, like you said on Tommy's show, I casted my pearls before swine.
Okay. Oh, so in other words, you seen the red flags, but you did what we all do so often. We try to change people.
Yes, before changing myself, and
got you.
What ends up happening, me as a prideful young little girl at the time, I was naive and gullible and too trusting of anybody, and he lied to me, and everything is just fake. Everything was just built off a lie, and that's not going to stand.
And that's what you're saying, that his relationship towards you was built off a lie.
Yes.
So this is the problem. Now and you said that when did you said your father started molesting you at the age of 11?
Yeah, but I never let it continue. I stopped going to his house, and I didn't tell anyone, but I would just stop going.
See, that's our biggest problem. You didn't have, and correct me if I'm wrong, that once you stopped going to your father's house, you no longer had an example of what a man should be, correct? Or an example, correct?
From him, but
right, from him. Did you have other examples of a good man?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you just made the mistake of trying to see if you could change a guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So are both of your children from him?
No.
Okay, so what happened with the second guy? Was that the first guy or the second?
That was the first one.
Okay, what happened with the second?
Well, I just, because of the situation with the first one, and my child got taken away and I still had milk, I didn't really know how to cope with that. I was just like, I seen the next guy to holler at me. He looked like he had it all going on, and I was just like, oh, well, he looks the opposite of this other guy. And
did you vet him? Did you vet him at all?
What do you mean by that?
vet means to check him out. Did you get
No.
courted? Did he court? Okay, see, that's the issue.
Yeah.
You know, in our lives, a lot of the times we seek, especially with women, they seek a validation that they didn't receive, and it's a hole that needs to be filled. So you just want to be in security. You want to be secure. You want to be taken care of. You want to be treated like a beautiful queen. You want to be treated like the princess you are, right? And you didn't have that example of what a good man should treat. You didn't have that example to see. So you have nothing to weigh it up against. But I am so glad that you've made it through, and I'm so glad that you called in. What led you to call in?
Well, I heard you on Tommy's show. I think it was you. I said, that voice sounds so familiar. And then I was watching the video. Let me see what he's got, what does he have to offer? And then you said everything that I was resonated with me. And I was like, oh my God, I got so much knowledge that can help back some of this up to help them see it a little more, deeper.
Well,
that helped me.
Let me address something. Hold on, baby. Hold on one second. Listen, let's understand something. We're dealing with a lot of evil that we're dealing with, and a lot of you guys that are beta males that have nothing else to do but try to get in to the village and think that you're going to cause a disruption into what we're doing here. You are not. Let me say this. I beg you, Lord, in the name of Jesus Christ, that all those that decide to come in here and cause disruption, to cause evil, Lord, I ask you to please curse them. Please deal with them quickly and harshly, because you're not going to come in here and disrupt what we're trying to do. I promise you that. You're not going to come in here and do none of that. You're not going to come in here and try to make anyone in here weak. You're not going to come in here and try to defame anybody. You're not going to do that. I will not allow it. And the Lord will not allow it. So don't think you're going to be able to do that. Go ahead, sweetheart.
I wanted to go back to my journey with the meta nature. Actually, there was a jewel in there. One thing I took from it was with two things. It said that it's not like that many are called and few are chosen. It's that many are called, but few choose the path. And I was like, I want to be the one to choose the path. And then there was another jewel in there that said, like, the power is in believing. And it showed how the church had something called like prayer, and how to have manifestations of miracles.
Right.
And those things sometimes are not taught in the Western world. And then I learned about stress and the evolution of the four brains, and how if a child is struck in the head or gets a brain injury early on, and it can happen in hospitals. A lot of women don't know why their children have problems, but your child may have been injured during delivery. I
wanted to ask you a question. How would you feel being counseled by myself offline? Would that be okay?
Yes, that would be fine.
Listen, you can contact me at bolotv16@gmail.com. Because I wanted to talk to you specifically about that zodiac thing, but it's going to be really heavy and deep to go through it right now. But again, contact me at bolotv16@gmail.com. Soon as you get off, contact me, because I definitely want to kick it to you about that zodiac thing.
For sure, I will do it.
All right. So I'm waiting for your email right now with your information on how to contact you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, darling.
And when a child is face any type of head injury, like I see these girls fighting, and I'm like, these are little girls hitting me. Like, they fight, they don't go body like we did when we were younger. Like
Right.
growing up in the hood, that was how when we went over to each other's house, when they said let's fight, that's how they play. And I don't play like that, but that's what I was around. That's how they play. They don't play Barbie dolls and read books from the library. That's what it is. And we would be in there fighting. And when you're hitting in the head, you're damaging the head, which can stop the hypothalamus, the frontal lobes, which is your psychic. It's more of like the psychic and the dreaming and things like that. The more of the divine, the upper part of your being, your higher being, because the brain stem is more of the fight or flight. How do you say fight or flight?
Fight or flight.
Just the sex, the kill, and the drugs and things like that.
Let me ask you this: are you in a relationship now?
With myself.
Okay. All right. So, you need to understand that you need to learn, and I'm sure you have learned what your worth is. So now you know what to demand as far as what your value. So now you know what to demand, right? Yeah. So I still think there's still a lot of things, because the scriptures also tell you that the reading of many books will confuse you. There's a lot of things that we can read, and it will deter you from the understanding that we need to. We need to be pinpoint. Although it's a lot of information that's being given, we still need to be pinpoint accurate on what we're doing. We can't helicopter this. We need to be snipers on this. And I'm using the example of helicopter, like, when you see the guy that's in the helicopter and he's just shooting, he's not accurate at all. He's just shooting the area. In this, where we're at right now, in this life where we're at, in this time right now, at 10:22 p.m., we need to be pinpoint accurate. So that's why I said to you that I want to talk to you offline, because there's some things that I really wanted to address with you specifically, that really needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna let you have the last word.
When the brain doesn't evolve past fight or flight, then we are stuck at fight or flight. And sometimes I just want to explain, just say that when brain injuries can be a cause of that, and the fighting and getting hit in the head can stop the evolving past fight or flight.
Right.
And stress also can cause disease. And I learned like relaxing and breathing. Like when you feel angry, it's a certain breathing exercise you can do.
Right. It brings back normalcy. There's an exercise that, that I said to people that they need to do, especially with this COVID thing, right? This COVID thing wants you to just give up. It wants you not to fight. So what they say for you to do is to take a 4-count breath, 4 count of 4 short breaths on your back. And the 5th breath, you take in and you hold it for 10 seconds and you let it out. You then turn onto your stomach and do the same thing. Because a lot of the times when you're laying on your back, I know I'm going to say it wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway. The lungs, you have parts of your lung that is in your back. And when you're laying on your back, a lot of that air do not get behind there. It doesn't get into the sacs in the back where your back is when you're laying on your back. So a lot of the times they say when you do that 4 breath exercise and then the 5th one, hold for 10 seconds and breathe very deeply. You might get a little dizzy. So be someplace where, you can have some type of stableness. Go into your stomach and you do the same thing. It's about knowing knowing the atmosphere that you're in, knowing that you're in a safe place, knowing that you're in a state, like Shah said, a state of calmness. It's about gaining your clarity back and thinking. That's what this is all about. All of those things that happen to you, all of those heinous things that happen to you, It's now that you're older, you can look back and say, okay, this happened, that happened. And now you can fight through it. Now, it doesn't mean that you're cured of your issues that you've had and what those things have taken you off your trajectory. But now you know how to get help. And I'm so glad that you decided to come to the village and speak your truth to those that out there that may be going through it, that you can make it through this. And like I said, there's so many different things that I would love to talk to you about offline to actually get into something personal because there's some things that you need to know and you need to gain clarity and understanding on. So I'm going to leave the last statement to you.
This will be my last statement, and thank you so much. There was one more method that I learned in my support group. I'll explain it real short. You know how they say that the cup is half empty or half full or something?
I always say that here. Always look at the cup. I always say it. Always look at the cup half full. Always look at the cup half full. Go ahead, darling.
Sometimes when we have a cup that's a full cup of anger and bitterness from all of the things from childhood, it can fill up to the top. And so because it's filled, we cannot have joy and happiness enter that cup because it's full of bitterness and anger. And one thing, we have to empty that cup so we can pour in the happy and joy.
To leave room for that love.
Yes. And
I love that.
And what happens is, in order to do that, you cry. When you get angry, you cry. Sometimes we get angry, we yell, because I'm still working on that. Right. And it goes back to the breathing, stop, think, pause, and act, because it could save you from going to jail like I did. And
well, you know what my therapist told me? My therapist told me that it was about transference of energy, right? Transference of energy. Like, you ever get into an argument with somebody and when you hang up, you feel good, like you got the power?
Yes.
That's what it's about. So in other words, if I have a problem with somebody, my job is to seek that person out and let them know what my issue is with them. And not hold it in.
Boss, that's something I actually regret doing.
What do you mean?
I had an argument with one of my former guy friends about a girl, and I wanted to call her and I wanted to discuss it, and I just didn't respect people's boundaries at that time. And it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna just say what I gotta say, and it didn't need to be said. The ego in me wanted to just fight. I didn't know who I was. I thought I was this ego personality, but I'm not.
Well, let me say this. A lot of the times in conversations that we have with each other, we don't think on both accords. And what I mean by that is, when I'm having a conversation with you,
yes,
I have to understand that certain questions that I'm asking, I have to think about the answers that you're going to have, and that I might offend you in certain things in having a conversation in such a open forum. So a lot of the times when we speak, we don't think about how that other person is going to react to the question that we're going to ask or the statement that we're going to make. And we need to be more thoughtful of that. And if we are, we will refrain in asking the question or making the statement in such a way where they will be offended. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what we need to start doing. So listen, I'm waiting for you to email me because I really want to converse with you offline.
So is it TV16@gmail.com?
Yes, it's in my if you forget, it's definitely on the channel, but it's Bolo16. I'm sorry, BoloTV16@gmail.com.
All right. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure too. Thank you so much, darling. I'm waiting for that email right now. Okay.
I got you. Okay. And I'll talk to you later. Take care.
You too. Okay. Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, man? First
Now I
question
don't want
have.
to pronounce your name right. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong. How do you pronounce it?
Oh, it's not my name. It's from. I'm a fan of Pokemon. When I was growing up, I used to watch Pokemon. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things.
All right. So how do you
Charizard.
say that? How do you say that? How do you pronounce that?
Charizard. Yeah,
Charizard?
yeah.
Is
It's
that the
like
skinny yellow? Is that the skinny yellow thing that
the orange dragon. The
okay,
has the fire on his tail.
got you. All right, so talk to me.
So what do you I have two questions I want to get into. The first one is, what do you think about because I know you're spiritual and whatever. What do you think about the idea of us exploring what is that science far as exploring to other planets because of our curiosity? Do you think we're like breaking the laws of our spirits when we do that? Like learning, trying to see what's on other planets, trying to see if there's other
Yeah,
things
that's
based
a
on our
heavy
curiosity.
that's a heavy question, brother. So let me answer you this way. When I look at when I do the information on us going to the moon, man going to the moon.
Right.
We went to the moon 1979, I believe, 1978, 1979, and we've never returned. And I believe I've done some streams on where they said that they lost the information, they lost the technology to get back to the moon. So when I read the scriptures and the Lord says that when he created the heaven and the earth, and you listen to what these scientists say where they haven't been out of lower Earth orbit, we need to understand that the Earth's ozone is a couple of 100,000 a couple of thousand miles long.
Right.
It's not something that's short. So when I read the scriptures, I don't believe that we've been out of lower Earth's orbit. I don't believe we've been to the moon. I don't believe it.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I do believe it, but that's I could be.
So why haven't we been back?
I don't know.
That's my point. You know what I'm going to do? If you email me, I'll send you some of those videos where you have NASA astronauts saying that we have never been out of lower Earth's orbit.
That's true. I mean,
What do you think? What do you think about that? When you have astronauts saying this,
I'm definitely not denying it because I don't know for sure. I think I'm more at like the idea of hope that we actually have been there. I always have that hope. You know what I mean?
Listen, man, we are stuck on this planet, brother. We are stuck. They are trying to get out of lower Earth's orbit, but you have to understand the exosphere is about 1,500 miles long. The exosphere. It's about 1,500 miles long. Correct. So you're talking about leaving the exosphere, the stratosphere, the hemisphere. There's like maybe 4 or 5 spheres that they got to get past just to go to the moon. Just
what do you say?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh no,
no,
what do you say about like some of the videos? You see some videos of people showing like different evidence of being on the moon. Like you'll look at some of the stuff. Okay, you'll look at the people that sit there and say, well, look at the way the light's shining and all this, and then people actually point out things that, well, that's how they point out things that make sense scientifically. Because I look at things with an eye logically in science.
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, well, the person that's proven that they were on the moon is kind of right by the way they're explaining it. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's like, you know, I don't, it's a 50-50 with, it's more like 60-40 with me. Like 60% believe we want to move and 40% believe that it could possibly truly have been on the moon.
Let me say this to you. I'm trying to pull up the actual I want you to take a look at the first moon landing. Do you have a picture of what that spaceship looked like?
I've seen it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I mean, I gotta. Yeah, okay, I
You
pulled
got a
up on
picture, right?
Google.
Do you see how paper thin that goddamn spaceship looked like? And that made it, and that made it through the I forget the name of the radiation portion of the radiation portion of our protection. That made it through. These goddamn spaceships now can't make it up there. They said that they don't have the technology to make it back to the moon, brother. They don't have it. They don't have a technology now. But they had the technology in 1979.
But see what I'm hearing though. See, this is what's confusing me, and I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just
no, go ahead.
What I'm thinking. Okay, what I'm hearing, why they can't go back to the moon is as far as the government funding and all that. And a lot of people will tell me, "Oh, well, you're saying, you're saying because the government won't fund them, that's BS." But I'm like, but how can you provide why it's not BS? Like I hear a lot of people always say, "Don't believe what that say," and I don't. And I'll be first to say, I'm not a big fan of the government. I'm a libertarian. I don't like big government like that because I don't trust them like that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like you're telling me something, but not you per se, but someone's telling me something, and I'm like, but you're pulling this out your ass, just like some of the flat earthers. They'll sit there and tell me something, and I'm like, but where are you getting this from? Oh, they don't have an answer, and I'm just like, well, I have to go by what logic. Like I'm just thinking, like, yes, it could be completely wrong, but the idea isn't far fetched. They may not be able to. I mean, was NASA? I'm gonna ask you this because I'm not like, wasn't NASA funded by the government? And if the government's not funding them,
NASA is funded by the government. NASA is funded by America. It is.
And if the government's putting a hold on NASA from going to the moon,
they're not putting a hold on it. They're not putting a hold. NASA gets funded money every year, the same way military gets money every year. Every year, NASA gets money. Right now, they're trying to go to Mars, my G. The hell with the moon. We're trying to get to Mars. You can't get back to the moon, but yet you're trying to get to Mars.
Well, from what I've heard, I was listening to the thing. Trump did a speech, I think about a year and a half ago, saying that, and I don't know if it's how true it is, but they're claiming that they're going to use the moon as a launch pad to get to Mars. As a, what do they call it? A gateway space station.
Right. You're talking about the what's the name space station? The World Space Station. The I forget the name that they use, but Russia. You're talking about the space station like everyone can use, right?
Yeah, so they can launch off. But
right.
I will, like I said, I'm not exactly sure what is what how true that is as far as what actually happened. But
it's called the Van Allen's belt. The Van Allen's belt. Okay.
That's what the launch is called?
No, the Van Allen's belt is what they have not gone through. The radiation in the Van Allen's belt will kill you.
Right.
Okay? It will kill you. Now, when you take a picture and you look at the old the first moon landing that landed on the moon, when you look at what materials they used, there's no way in hell it could have made it through the Van Allen belt. There's no way.
I would definitely
But what I'm trying to do right now, if you give me a second, I will bring up a picture. Let me get out of this. I will get out of this, and I will bring this in, and I will show you a picture on the screen. Okay, you see that picture right there? The one that I got the thing on?
Yeah, with the man holding the first
holding the American flag. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in on it. Okay, it won't. But anyway, this right here, it looks like copper, my G. And when you actually look at the video, it's copper. When you listen to the interviews that these guys have, and they say, listen, for the type of equipment that we need to take to get through the Van Allen's belt, it is too heavy for the space shuttle to go up to the moon. It is too heavy. There are some pictures you see stars. There are some pictures you don't see stars. But for some reason, every time you look at, the Earth, it's always blue. I don't see no other stars. I don't see no other colors. Everything on the moon is gray. I don't know.
Well,
I'm saying to you that when I listen to astronauts say that we have not gotten out of lower Earth's orbit, and this is not just one astronaut. You can go on YouTube and check it out. It's not just one astronaut saying this. These are a few interviews that they're having. When you have these guys saying that, it's not done by mistake. And you have to understand that the Lord is making these guys make mistakes in what they're saying. There are holes in what they are saying, and it's up to us to figure it out.
Well, let me ask you this.
Please.
I like what you said because I love astronomy and I like getting concepts about it. But one of the things you said is about the stars. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, when during I feel like in space it kind of works like how it does in Earth. Okay, so when the sun's out and it's on the bright side of Earth, even when you look at videos of people doing spacewalks, you're not going to see, even the astronauts said it, you're not going to see any stars out. But when you go on the dark side of Earth, it's littered with stars. So even that picture, the sun's out. It whitewashes most out of the stars, just like how it would imitate how it would look during the day on Earth. In a sense, when the sun's out, you're not going to see all the stars, obviously, because I feel like
this is what I would say. When you're looking at talking about people walking on the moon, right? And you're talking about not being able to cure the common cold, but you're walking on the moon. It's just common sense with me that there's just certain things that I'm going to question. When you have a scientist saying that we lost the technology, and these are NASA scientists saying we lost the technology to get back to the moon. How do you lose that technology? I don't understand how you lose it. When you have certain astronauts saying that we have never been out of lower Earth's orbit. These guys are not saying this by mistake. When you have more than one astronaut saying it, these are not stupid people.
Definitely, and don't get me wrong. I'm
just saying that when they listen, man. You ever heard of a movie called Wag the Dog?
No, I never heard it. No,
watch that movie. It has who's my man that used to play Lex Luthor with the old Superman?
Shit, I forgot his name.
But the premise of it was they needed a president to run and win the presidency, right? And they needed to create a fake war. So they went to the greatest producer in its time to produce this war. It's called Wag the Dog. Watch that. I promise you, after you watch that, you're going to look at this like, you know what, man? These people can create anything that they want. I've never been into space, so I don't know if it's truth or not.
No, that's why when I hear you say that, I like when people, you gotta understand, I'm not the one that sit there and say I'm 100% right if I've never been there. I look at certain things and I'm not sure. That's why I post the questions and I point out things, and then when someone else points out, I think about what people say because I'm not the one to shoot someone's opinion down about anything, except for the flat earthers, because the flat earthers, I don't know.
That's the question. I don't go into something already dismissing it, because when you do that, you automatically think you automatically already shut down your understanding. You dig what I'm saying? So I don't go into it automatically with disparaging. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that I'm gonna listen to this person. I'm gonna actually give what they're saying a chance. And
I definitely I'm the same way. It's just that I think my whole problem with when I get into that territory discussing something with a flat earther, when it gets to
Right.
that point, it's not so much I don't listen to what they say. It's just that I don't mind having a healthy conversation and listening to what you're saying, what you're proposing. But
Right.
when I sit there and I point out something, I said, "Well, explain this to me," and then they get angry because they can't explain it. It's like it always ends up them getting angry because they can't explain what they're saying.
I think
I'm
that's what
just like, I
anybody.
just asked the question.
Yeah, I think that's what anybody. Anytime you know, because you're actually what you're doing is you're questioning their foundation, right? So if
Right,
they went into it already saying, "Listen, I'm about truth," and sometimes maybe what I've been rocking made sense to a certain point. If someone brings something in that rocks my foundation, don't get it twisted. I'm going to question you as much as I can. But if what you're saying to me makes sense, I'm going to go back and do the knowledge. I'm going to go back and do the mathematics on it. I'm going to go
right.
back and research it. I'm going to compare it to the scriptures and see what it fits and what doesn't fit. And then when I come back and say, "Yo, check this out, brother, you was right.
Well, you
We
know,
can't we can't be wrong. We can't be so strong and be wrong at the same time. That
you
stunts your growth."
well, I will definitely, I will definitely say, man, I thank you because you know what you're gonna have me do after I get off, man. You gonna have me going on YouTube looking up videos now, man.
Well,
I
brother,
definitely
listen, man,
believe that.
the whole thing about this is for us to have conversation and grow and love each other and as brothers be able to converse and not be emotional and not get, disrespected and not get offended. You know,
Right,
that's what this is about. That's what Tommy is doing. That's what
right,
my man Brian is doing on his channels, and that's what I'm trying to do. You know,
right.
we're trying to give food for thought. We're trying to form this village and form people to come together so that we can all come together in love and
Hey,
add to
Bolo,
this. Yes, bro.
I don't mean to cut you off. But I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while, ever
Go
since
ahead.
I heard you speak on Tommy's show, because you're more the religious. You have some idea. Okay, so this was gonna be my second thing. Try to make it as quick as I can.
I'm
My
listening.
second thing was, all right, I'm not all the way there as far as religious. I have a lot of, thoughts, whatever. That's fine. So my parents, they go to church, whatever. I don't live with them, but they go to church and they always text me about, how I should go to church, how I should go to church. My problem is I don't learn anything when I'm inside of the church, but it seems like I don't mind doing the research at home. And it's just like, I don't know, like I get it. People say you gotta be in church if you're not with. But it's like, but I don't feel like I learn anything when I'm in the church, man. It helped like when I'm reading and doing my own research, or if I read
Right.
in the scripture, or try to learn. Because what I do is I take a scripture and I try to break it down and look it up and stuff like that. But like me, actually being in church, I don't learn anything. I'm not a huge fan of gospel music. I know that may sound bad, but it's just like, how do you become one with the Lord if you're not going to church?
First off, we're in church now. The definition of church is two or more people. That's what the Christ tells you. He says, if two or more people speak my name, I'm there. That was the purpose of Christ coming. Tommy this earlier today touched upon it. Christ came to take away the power from the Pharisees and Sadducees. These were the guys that were controlling the information. Because when you put the information in a building, I can control who comes in and who goes out. For you to come in, you got to pay a certain amount of bread. And if you ain't paying that bread, you got to leave. That's why Christ tells you, who can put me in a building made with man's hands? Christ made it his business not to teach in a church. He taught on the streets and the highways and the byways because it's free.
Right.
It's free. The Lord's word shouldn't come with a price. The only price that you need to pay is attention. That's it. So this is what we need to understand. That he came to say to you, bro, you are the church. I'm in you. He came to take the power from them and give it to the people where it belonged. That's why the scriptures tells you, buy the truth and sell it not. Whatever you need to do to get this information, you do it. Buy that Bible, go get that information, and you sell it. You do not sell it at all. This is what you need to survive, this information.
Yeah,
So,
because
1 minute. So to specifically answer your question pertaining to church, church is a business. They're in a business. Okay. They get a tax ID. It's a business. So you need to understand that your faith and your salvation is personal. I get this information. I give it to you, right?
Right.
Shazad, I give it to you. You take that information and you build your faith and your salvation by having a personal relationship with Christ yourself. Your faith can't be built on the information that I give you. You build your faith off of proving the information that I gave you was truth. See the difference?
Yeah.
The information that I give you, you take it and prove it to be facts. You prove it to be facts. And when you prove it to be facts to yourself, that's where your faith starts. Because now when someone says, did you see it? You can say, yeah, I saw it.
Right.
This ain't you're not getting it on, secondhand. I'm getting it firsthand, dog. I read it. I don't understand where people say that Adam and Eve ate an apple. The scriptures don't talk about apples.
Yo, I still, man, I always still think that's a metaphor, but that's just me, man.
It's not a metaphor. He and she ate of the tree of life. There's there's no apple that can give you the information of God, of good and evil. There's no apple. Give me that apple. There is none. So we don't read. We sit there like, and Tommy gave us example. You go to the church and this man teaches you or he gives you some information. Instead of you taking it and going home and proving it to yourself and studying to show yourself approved, you go and just take what he say and hold that to be the facts, not knowing that what he's saying is wrong. So when it comes to church, you don't need to go to church. You don't need to. But I won't tell you not to go to church. If church is what you need to do to keep your faith strong and to keep you rolling in truth, then go to church. What I will say is you hold these guys that are supposed to be disseminating this truth to you, you hold them to a standard. Don't just take what they're giving you for face value. You have that book, you have your notepad, you write down what they're saying, and you go home and you study it. If it doesn't make sense, you go back to that past and say, listen, I know you kicked what you kicked, but it ain't making sense to me. I need you to please explain this again. That is their job. Their job is to teach you. That's their job.
So, let me ask you, since I've always wanted to. I know this is just a few. I'm sorry, I keep you all here all the time, but another question I had is, what do you? I've always been, I've read stuff as far as what happens after you pass away. They say you go to heaven, but
say again. I didn't hear you say that again.
Oh, I said I've read stuff about people saying, some people, the whole idea of when you pass away, your soul goes to heaven or hell. So my whole thing is with the idea of judgment day, if everybody is not judged, if everyone's judged at the same time, doesn't that mean when you die, you don't go nowhere? You just wait until judgment day. You're basically resting. So when people say, oh, you're someone passed away, but he's in heaven looking down on you, I'm like, I always feel kind of weird because I'm like, well, he's technically not, because that judgment day hasn't come yet.
Well, here's the thing, the scriptures doesn't say that you go to heaven or hell when you pass. It doesn't say that. It does give you reference in certain things, right? Like when there's a place called Abraham's bosom, and it speaks on when certain people passed. There was a guy who didn't believe what the prophets was kicking, and he looked up and seen Abraham and said, yo, listen, man, can you dip your finger in that water and put it on my tongue? Because it's hot where I'm at. He wasn't in hell. He was in a resting place. He was in a spot chilling. But wherever that resting place was, it was hot. And Abraham told him, no, I can't do that. So he said, can you please do me a favor? Can you please send the prophets of old to my family now to show that what y'all kicking is not a lie? And he said, I can't do that neither. So there is a distinct place that the righteous go to rest and the wicked go to rest. There is a distinct place. Okay. Hitler is not going to be sleeping in the same place Abraham is at.
Right.
So the scriptures do say that.
Okay, man. Well, and one more question, and I'm
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Do your thing. Go ahead.
I was listening earlier. Like, I love when you get on Tommy's show because it's like I've been following you for about a few months now, so I love when you speak. But you mentioned something when I was getting a conversation about the Lord. I was thinking about the whole idea. What Tommy was saying is about how God will sit there and He knows the future in a sense because He created this world. He knows the outcome. What do you think about this idea? What I think happens is, I think that He gives us all free will. I think He sets out a plan, but I think because there's somebody said, I don't remember who, but they said there's multiple versions, like the Marvel movie. When he said that, and I like that idea. And I don't remember if you spoke on that, but what is your idea of that? Reason He gives us so many outcomes is because we do have free will, because He gives us free will. So we can change our outcome just because it's set out to us doing certain something. We can actually change that and go down another route of the outcome that God has planned out for us. Do you think that's when Tommy and that whoever was speaking about that? Do you think that has something to do with the idea of giving us free will?
Okay, and I kind of remember the conversation that Tommy had, and I don't think, and I can be wrong, but I'm thinking from recollection, I don't believe that Tommy was on the side of man having free will from God's perspective. So now we have to look. So now we have to look at this from two perspectives, right? Because there's sometimes when the Lord in the book, He will pull back the curtain and let you see what He's doing, right? And then there's times when He puts us back into man's perspective. So I have a scripture open. It's Romans 9, and I'm going to start at verse 10, and I need you to understand what's being read, right?
Okay.
And not only this, but when Rebekah also conceived by one, even our father Isaac. Now Rebekah could not have baby; she was barren. Okay, she went to God and begged him to give birth to children, and He gave her twins. Okay, follow me so far, right?
Yeah,
for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of Him that calleth. So what that scripture is saying is God is going to pick who's going to be the good and who's going to be bad, not because of works, because remember, they're still in the woman's womb. They didn't do nothing, but He's going to make the choice. It reads on, verse 12. It was written unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. So now hold on. So now God has given this woman children, twins to be in fact, not identical, but fraternal. Now these twins have not done any good or any evil, but one He said He loved and the other He said He hated. Now, why did God say that? Because He knew what He had created, right? Because God tells you in the scriptures, I knew you before I put you in the womb. So let's read on. 14. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with God? God forbid. No, there is no unrighteousness for God. For he hath saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. Did you ever see the movie The Ten Commandments?
Yeah. I've
Okay.
seen that.
Remember when Moses went to went to the Lord and said, listen, what do you want me to tell this dude? And he said, tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Remember that part?
Yeah.
And what was the one thing he told Moses before he left? He told Moses, and I will harden his heart. I'm going to make him tell you no. This is why Moses didn't flip out when he went and said, yo, dude, let Israel go. No, he didn't flip out. He told him the 3 times, I'm going to harden his heart. Now listen to what the Lord says. For the Lord hath said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of God that showeth mercy. So it doesn't matter what you do. If the Lord wants to show you mercy, he will show you mercy. For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for the same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout the earth. Now remember, at that point, Egypt was the pinnacle of the earth. Nothing can touch Pharaoh's God. But here it is, you have Moses comes in and knocks his God out, and now his God is declared. Let me give you an example of what I'm saying. If you're knocking everybody out, you're that dude. Remember, Mike Tyson was knocking everybody out, right? He was the heavyweight champion of the earth. And then Buster Douglas, a bum, came in and knocked his ass out. Now, who's the man now? Buster Douglas.
Buster Douglas, yeah.
Right? Let's read the scripture, verse 18. Therefore, he hath mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he hardeneth. Did you hear that part? He have mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will hardeneth. He hardened Pharaoh's heart. Thou wilt say then unto me, why doth he yet find fault? So why did he find fault in Pharaoh? How is it that you made Pharaoh say no, but yet you punished Pharaoh? For who hath resisted his will? No one. Now this is what God is saying to people like you and me. Nay, but, O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why is thus made me thus? Hath the potter power over the same clay, over the same lump, to make one vessel unto honor and one vessel unto dishonor? In other words, if you are an artist, can you not make one picture that's beautiful and one picture that's ugly?
That's a good analogy.
So that picture that's ugly can't say, why did you make me this way? Because I wanted to make you this way. Right? So, and let's read on. And then I'll let you ask your question. It says here, hath not the potter power over the same clay, the same lump, to make one vessel unto honor and one unto dishonor? What if God, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured for much long suffering, and the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction? The Lord made good and evil to prove you to himself. Why? I don't know, brother. That's information that the Lord has. Now, here's where man is disconnected, right? We don't know what the Lord knows. So this is where that free will thing kicks in. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. When Adam sinned, the Lord severed that connection where we knew where we would go in the afterlife. He severed that connection. This is why we're so afraid of death, right? Because death was meant to be, we never were meant to die. We were meant to translate, because Ezekiel translated. He never died. He translated. He gave up the spirit. So when the Lord turned his back on us for Adam's sin, we lost that connection. So now we think we have free will. I don't know why we think it, but when you read the scriptures, we don't. How can you have free will when the Lord tells you the book of life is already sealed? So those that made it already made it. If your book ain't in the name, if your name is not in the book of life, you can't put it there. So explain to me free will on that. If your name is not in the book of life, you cannot put your name in it. It's closed. The Lord tells you, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, no, I was just saying, just it seems scary then, because it's like,
It is.
what is the point of me trying to
I'll
find
tell
faith
you.
when?
I'll tell you what it is. It's called
Okay.
character. That's what the Lord is looking for. Character. Character. Right? Let me give you an example of what character builds. If I'm your homeboy, me and you, we grew up together.
Right.
Right? And you get hired at a job and I'm the boss. Do you think you're gonna have to work as hard as everybody else?
Probably not.
Of course not. You my man. You ain't gonna have to work hard. That's the point. The point is the Lord wants to know, even though you know, because we're man, brother. If I knew that my name was in the book of life, do you think I would be striving as hard as I am right now, trying to do right?
Oh, okay.
No,
I see what you're going.
I would not do that. No, I'm telling you. I know, man, you would not. So what the Lord is saying is, you know what? I want to see what your character is made of. You don't know a damn thing. You don't know if you're in the book of life, but I want to see if you're still going to serve me with truth, with humility, and most of all, with love. That's what I want to see. When you ask, you have any children?
I have $2.
When you ask your daughter to wash the dishes, and she does, but she goes beyond washing the dishes. She goes into cleaning the kitchen. Does that not prove character?
Yeah, she tried to get something from me.
I mean, it may not mean that. It may be that she's trying to get something, but the purpose is she's going up and beyond. She's not just doing the minimum. She's not just washing the dishes and seeing that the floor is dirty. And then when you say, well, why didn't you wash the floor? Well, you told me to wash the dishes. Character. That's what the Lord is looking for. Character. Sincere men and women and children that are going to serve him. That's the purpose.
Man, I want to thank you because I think you don't realize it, but I think you answered. I mean, because you say at first you said you don't know, but in a way you kind of answered the biggest question I was wondering for a minute. And it's like that whole painter analogy makes sense. It's like, I mean, it's like you said, it is what it is. You show character. Yeah, you don't know, but I mean, you go at you doesn't mean you stop trying, and it's just the way you explain to the painter, like God, yeah, I mean, he creates everything.
That's
what
he's looking for.
To ask for what is us to question what the painter, because you said the claymation or whatever you put on the piece on the canvas doesn't ask anything.
Right. It just does it. It just do. That's our job. You see, man thinks that we're bigger than what we actually are. And I said this earlier, you know what I'm saying? We think that God needs us when we need him. God don't need oxygen, my G. God don't need gravity. God doesn't need an earth. We need these things. So we need to start to understand that we need him. And I think that once we get the grasp of that, once we get the grasp that, you know what, no weapon formed. This is why the Lord tells you I'm not a man that should lie. Why should I lie? I made everything. I'm telling you something. I don't need the damn lie. I'm telling you that Satan is going to lose. I'm telling you, if you serve me in spirit and in truth and in love, you are going to be in the kingdom. Why should I lie? Can't no one whip my ass? I look to the left, and he tells you in the scriptures, I look to the left and I look to the right, and I see no seat next to me. So I raise my hand to heaven and say, I am the man. Why should he have to lie? He shouldn't. He doesn't have to. He created it all. I don't understand how people can think a devil is a renegade angel running against the Lord when he created him. How can that which he created go against the creation, the creator? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, he tried to fight him, but he threw his ass right down. Man.
Of course, brother. Of course. So do you have any other questions, my G?
I think what it is, well, you definitely answered them all. I think what it was is that I guess it's just kind of trying to comprehend that. Like no one knows what or it looks like nobody. I can't even comprehend half of the stories. Like I can't even imagine what that would be like. Him sending the dark angel down the hell. Like I can't. And I think what it is our brains are trying to picture these things, and I think that's what makes us not understand it because it's like we always see things through physics. So I think that's my confusion. Before you start explaining it, it's like we always want to look at it from what we've seen living on this planet. So I thank you for that, man.
You're welcome, brother. And you know what? I thank you because without you guys, this is not possible. This is what it's about. It's about everyone coming to the village and bringing something to the table. That's what this is. This is what Tommy was talking about earlier when I was talking to him. If he's building the building and I'm taking out the garbage, you know what I'm saying? You manicure the lawn, someone else paint. There is no strength in a finger. We are nothing without you. There's nothing.
And that's what I've been asking for because I've heard, and which I didn't even know you. Dude, this is crazy. I didn't even know you made shows until I went to your literally. I saw you. I said literally.
Yeah.
I can't say that word, but I can't say that word. But I saw you in the chat. You were putting a link in whatever, and I doing one of the live shows. I accidentally clicked on your name, and I'm like, wait a minute. I said, "Bro, be doing live." I see all these videos you were making. I'm like, "Oh, I hear this brother on a panel, but shit, I didn't know he had his own show because I like what you say. Like I'm already, and I say that to say this because I like that. I like that. Like Tommy brings something to me. You bring something to me, and I like talking about the idea of religion and science. The relation rehab, I like listening to him because he brings something to the table when it comes to talking about relationships, dealing with women. So it's like I like to have different avenues, and I like not I go to all three of y'all for different things, and I appreciate that through Soul Nation.
And you see, and this is the thing that I think that people don't get, that it's like with hip hop, right? When you have these rappers now, we have to protect the old school cats. Let's just call them old school cats. I know sometimes they don't like being called that.
Right.
But the pioneers, the cats that set this off, because if it wasn't for the Run DMCs and the Cold Crush Crews and the Melly Mel's and the Furious Fives, if it wasn't for those cats, what hip hop is now, it would not exist. So we need to protect them. And I'm correlating that to say that you have a guy, Tommy Sotomayor, that set a foundation, that he set a standard for people like myself and Brian and others. He gave us a platform, a blueprint to come up here to be able to disseminate this information. So to try and tear him down at what these other people are doing and not paying him homage, and don't understand and don't get it twisted. Paying him homage doesn't mean that you worship the guy. It's just giving him respect to say, you know what? He made this into something when everyone thought it was nothing.
Yeah.
So just giving him his props and protecting him, meaning in the aspect of what he is kicking, is something that our people need. So to see him doing it by himself, it's not fair. It is unfair. So definitely, Tommy is that dude.
Definitely. And listen, I want you to understand, man. Y'all don't see it, and I'm seeing a vision. Y'all might not see it now, but I think not only is Tommy the dude, but I think y'all guys are something special, and y'all bring something to the table. Like I want to see more of I want to see more team stuff with you, Tommy, and the relationship we have, because I don't think y'all really understand how much value y'all bring into these platforms y'all trying to build, man. I think y'all doing some great things, man. I hope the future y'all bring something, y'all come together. I hope y'all, I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad you're doing these live shows, which I didn't even know you had. I'm definitely subscribed. I subscribed about 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to continue to listen to these live shows and learn and stuff, man. And hopefully, man, we see something big for 2020, for 2021, man. I'm definitely rocking with you, man.
Lord willing, man, and I thank you and I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Man. All right.
All right, so we're we're hitting the 2 hour and 44-minute mark. Do you people still want me to go on? Because I still got 2 more videos left. Do you want me to go on? You let me know. Hit 1 if you want me to go on, and I'll continue to go on. I'll wait. Okay. So says the village. Okay, so we're going to go into how they use fear, okay, to put our mind in that aspect or in that zone of not thinking with our frontal lobe, but yet thinking with the other part of the damn brain they named, so that we can get into that flight or fight thought process, right? So here we go.
Individuals looking to take advantage of and manipulate others have long realized the power of fear. When one is gripped by fear of a threat, real or imagined, their rational and higher cognitive capacities shut down, making them easily manipulated by anyone that promises safety from the threat.
So you understand what he just said. So by them putting in that fear, your higher, whatever the damn word he had, cognitivity, capacities, it shuts down. You don't think. You're not sitting here and saying to yourself, you know what, this is a game that they're playing. I see through them. You're not thinking in clarity. You're not thinking in specifics. You're thinking in general. You're sitting there and not honing in on what they're trying to do. This is something that they've studied and something that they've done time in and time out from different generations. Let me play it for you again.
Or imagined, their rational and higher cognitive capacities shut down, making them easily manipulated by anyone that promises safety from the threat. No passion so effectually robs the mind of all its powers of acting and reasoning as fear, wrote the 18th century philosopher Edmund Burke. Ruling classes for thousands of years have understood the power of intentionally invoking fear in their subjects as a means of social control. Henry Frankfurt, in his book The Intellectual Adventures of Ancient Man, noted that between 1800 and 1600 BC, a fear psychosis spread through ancient Egypt, precipitated by the invasion of foreign rebels hungry for power and conquest. Initially, this fear psychosis was justified by a real threat. Yet even when these foreigners were successfully driven far away from Egypt, the ruling powers sought to artificially maintain fear among the population.
I got hit. Village, one of our elders got hurt. Hey, Beverly. She says, hello, Bolo and the village. I am home, but to my mailbox, I got hit by SUV. I think she fractured her leg. Satan is on a roll, man. He's on a roll. And this is one of our elders in the village. So we're going to stop and send up a prayer for you. Lord God, we ask you, please, to protect Beverly. We ask you, Lord God, whatever demons or whatever evil is around her, we ask you to encamp your angels around her. We ask you, Lord, to please put that positive vibe of family around her and let all evil know that she is one of your children. She is protected. We ask you, Lord God, to please give her strength to stay strong and to stand strong. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Beverly, I'm glad you're here tonight. We're glad.
Realizing that a fearful population is easier to control than a fearless one, as Frankfurt explained. The common desire for security need not have survived after the Egyptians
so listen to that part.
Far away from.
Listen to that part that he said, that a feared crowd is easier to control than a crowd that's not in fear. Listen to what he's saying.
From Egypt, the ruling powers sought to artificially maintain fear among the population, realizing that a fearful population is easier to control than a fearless one, as Frankfurt explained.
Because they're not apt to fight back. That's why. They won't fight back. They won't stand for righteousness. They won't take care of each other. They're going to think about themselves. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to form this village. They don't want you to come together and say, we're going to take care of the children. My neighbor may not have a father, but you know what? I'm here. That's my child. They don't want you to do that. We have to stand up and fight for our village, fight for our community, fight for right, fight for righteousness. Support those that are kicking truth.
The common desire for security need not have survived after the Egyptian Empire extended the military frontier of Egypt well into Asia and thus removed the peril from the immediate frontier. However, it was a restless age, and there were perils on the distant horizon which could be invoked to hold the community together, since unity was to the advantage of certain central powers. A fear psychosis once engendered remained present, and there were forces in Egypt which kept alive this fear psychosis in order to maintain the unified purpose of Egypt. The artificial construction and maintenance of fear in a population by a ruling class has remained pervasive from the time of ancient Egypt up until the modern day. Oppressive governments often maintain their grip on a nation by continually invoking fear, and then proceeding to claim that only they, the ruling powers, have the means and ability to protect the population from such a threat.
So that's what they do. They instill that fear into you, and then they tell you, remember, they already have the answer. The answer is they want to take control. So the question is, let me instill this fear in them. So now when they say, please protect us, all right, we're going to take care of it. We got you. That's what they're trying to do.
The whole aim of practical politics, wrote H.L. Mencken, is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins, most of them imaginary. John Adams, one of the founding fathers of America, echoed this sentiment, writing, "Fear is the foundation of most governments."
And that's one of the founding fathers of America. Fear is the foundation of most governments, of all governments.
While there are numerous tactics and strategies that have developed over the centuries to effectively exploit the public through fear, two of the more powerful and efficient are the use of false flags and the implementation of propaganda via repetition. A false flag can be defined as a covert operation designed to deceive in such a way that the operations appear as though they are being carried.
And this is the example that I use of the false flag. Tommy also uses it too. The bombing of Pearl Harbor. That was a false flag. How was it a false flag? America wanted to get into World War II, so they knew hours before that the Japanese was going to bomb Pearl Harbor. They let it happen so that they can get into World War II.
Carried out by entities, groups, or nations other than those who actually planned and executed them. In his book Feardom, Connor Boyack provides a nice explanation on the effectiveness of false flag attacks for those looking to institute social control.
So they continue with these false flags to make you think that you need the government. That's what they're doing.
Physical attacks lead to a corresponding increase of trust in political leaders and submission to them. This effect is likely the same whether the attack be a surprise, known to political leaders yet allowed to happen, or directly orchestrated by these same leaders who stand to benefit from the increased trust and submission. False flag operations are used because people generally do not have access to the details, so they are prone to rely upon what they're told and thus are easily deceived. People will, for the most part, believe what they are told in times of crisis, and so government officials, whether their motives are good or evil, capitalize on or completely fabricate the crises. Repetition is also a well-known and prevalent propaganda technique used to solidify falsehoods and perpetuate fear in the public consciousness. By repeating specific phrases and warnings, and displaying particular symbols and images over and over through various mediums, those in power are able to paralyze entire populations with a fear psychosis. The Nazi propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels, was well aware of the power of repetition and cloaking falsehoods in a garb of truth, stating, "It would not be impossible to prove with sufficient repetition and a psychological understanding of the people concerned that a square is in fact a circle. They are mere words, and words can be molded until they clothe ideas in disguise. George Orwell, in a related manner, viewed political language as largely a form of propaganda designed to deceive people, as he wrote, "Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind." The technological advances of the last century have given those in power the ability to propagate their narratives and engage in fear-mongering to an extent never before seen in history. However, despite the unnerving situation we find ourselves in, there is an antidote to the power of propaganda and fear-mongering, that being knowledge. Plato rightly stated that ignorance is the root of misfortune. And as long as we remain ignorant of the fact that all too often, those who claim to protect us from fear are actually manipulating our fears for their own benefit.
Those that protect us from fear are those that are manipulating the fear itself for their own benefit. The haves.
Then we will be contributing to the misfortune of the world through our ignorant compliance. The philosopher Voltaire stated that those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities.
Oh my God. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Oh my God. Yo, listen, man, I don't understand how we're not understanding this information when it's right here in our faces and we're letting this happen. We're just giving the keys away. We got to stand up for each other and stand up for truth. We have to.
To avoid being an individual who can be convinced of absurdities, one must become an active truth seeker, instead of the all too common passive propaganda receiver. An important step in becoming an active truth seeker is the realization that when evaluating the claims of those in power, skepticism is warranted and even necessary.
This is about people becoming an active seeker. Take seeker out and put truther. An important step in becoming an active truther, truth seeker, I ain't see the C, truth, is the realization that when evaluating the claims of those in power, skepticism is warranted. You have to question them. You have to. You question me. Why the hell won't you question the goddamn government? But you question me. You come with all your theologian books and everything. And all we're trying to do is help you. That's all we're trying to do. Is give you the information to make yourself better, to make your community better. But you have all the information against us, but when they tell you, okay, listen, man, we're going to give you the shot, you shut the hell up and take the shot.
Very often those who rule do not have the best interests of the public at heart, for as Alexander Solzhenitsyn put it, political genius lies in extracting success even from the people's ruin. The reality is that most of us are not in a position to single-handedly change the world, but we can at least try to rid ourselves of the unnecessary fears which are the fuel for so much hate and destruction in the world. In fact,
did you hear that? Let me play it again. Because this is what we need to hear.
Are not in a position to single-handedly change the world.
None of us are.
But we can at least try to rid ourselves of the unnecessary fears which are the fuel for so much hate and destruction in the world. In fact,
separation, not talking to each other, thinking that you need to get on top by putting your foot on your brother's back, killing each other, calling each other names, accusing people of being things that you know that they're not. This is what we need to rid ourselves of. You talk about the white man killing us, we killing ourselves quicker and way worse than the white man could ever do. Ever do.
In fact, taking responsibility for one's actions and the beliefs that motivate such actions may be.
This is what we don't do. We don't do this. We don't take responsibilities for what we do. We're too emotional. We don't think. That's the physical. The mental is what takes in the information. The emotional processes it, and it comes through in your physical. We need to sit down and respond, not react.
Responsibility for one's actions and the beliefs that motivate such actions may be the most important thing one can do when faced with the prospect of an oppressive government. For as Stanley Milgram noted, the disappearance of a sense of responsibility is the most far-reaching consequence of submission to authority. And furthermore, might there be truth to the comment by F.A. Harper that the man who knows what freedom means will find a way to be free? At this point, some may be thinking that while the use of fear by those in power certainly contributed to horrible situations in the past, most notably in—
And you need to take a look at who they're using, Stalin, Hitler, and Mao, right? These, don't think that they didn't learn from their manipulation. Don't think that they didn't learn from their manipulation. They did, and they've mastered it masterfully. Hope I said that word right.
In the totalitarian states of Russia, Germany, and China in the 20th century, Western nations of the present are far from approaching a situation so dire. Hopefully, this is true, but it is important to realize that those who have lived through the rise of oppressive governments have seldom realized the perilous situation they were in until it was too late. We will conclude this lecture with a fascinating but ominous passage from the book They Thought They Were Free, which is based on interviews with normal Germans who lived during the Nazi regime. The following—
We're not going to go through that because, that statement was long. I got one last video that I'm going to show you guys. And this video here, if it doesn't blow your mind, if this video doesn't scare you, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And I know it's running late, but you guys wanted me to do it, so I'm going to do it. If this video doesn't scare you, man, I can't tell you what can. But this is the culmination of everything. This is what they're doing now. This is what they're pushing now. I said that fly, and I thought that I had the video lined up. And I thought that when I said that, the video would play. So I'll say it again. This is what they're doing now. This is what they're scaring us, and they're trying, and they're not trying. They're propagating this right now. This is their plans. Listen to this.
Well, again, I'm not as deep an expert on that as I am on vaccines.
Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them.
We want to thank you for turning folks in and making sure we are all safe.
For the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
This ain't no game. These cats are playing for keeps, right? They're playing for keeps. I'm going to let this video play through. I'm only going to stop it when it gets to the points where it's crazy.
That ability not only to isolate cases, but to rapidly detect illness in the context and remove those contacts should they become sick was a central part of that. And as he said, that wasn't, they're using apps now to do that. They're testing apps, but that they didn't do it with apps in Singapore. They did that with community workers, with public health workers, visiting the houses, checking on people, checking their health status every day and saying, how are you? Have you got a fever? Have you got a cough? And if a contact has developed a cough or a fever, they were taken immediately for testing. So yes, we need the information technology tools. They help. They're not the solution. There is, right now, we don't have an alternative to what we would have considered in the old days boot leather epidemiology. Public health practitioners, doctors, nurses, community workers working with communities to detect cases at community level. And the most likely person to become a case is someone who's been a significant contact of another case. And at the moment, in most parts of the world, due to lockdown, Most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units.
So you see what he's saying? What he's saying right now is we've managed to control it with that social distancing. So a lot of the people are getting infected. Now it's in the homes now. So listen to what he's saying now on this point. It's in the home. It's not in the streets anymore.
Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them.
This ain't no damn game. This is real. This is what they're doing. They're going to be coming into your homes and removing you. It gets deeper, and it's scary. But we don't operate in fear.
By vocal outcries from politicians and military officials, FDR signed Executive Order 9066, empowering the U.S. Army to designate areas from which any or all persons may be excluded. He later formed the War Relocation Authority to establish 10 permanent camps, housing nearly 120,000 Japanese Americans, mostly from the western United States. 2/3 of those interned were native-born American citizens. With only 6 days to dispose of their possessions, residents were forced to sell their belongings.
And this law was written way past. This is when they incarcerated the Chinese or the Japanese that were American citizens. These laws don't fade out. They don't fade out.
And even their homes for small sums of money. Internment camps were often situated in isolated deserts, prone to harsh weather, and surrounded by barbed wire and guard towers.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. And Haoyu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it. In fact, most people are.
It's a mechanism like pushes you to become a better citizen.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens.
So that's why they need that 5G. All right, they need that 5G so that they can sit here and look at your phones, look at these circuit TV cameras, to look at the tablets, to look at the internet, the AIs, the autopilot cars. They need this new 5G technology to be able to clock all of you, all of us. This is what they're pushing it for. You see the way God is omniscient, you know, how he's omnipotent, how he's everywhere and he knows everything. Satan can't do that. He doesn't have that power. That was taken from him. What he's trying to do now is create that power carnally. And how is he doing that? Through 5G. My G.
Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and a web of more than 200 million surveillance cameras.
Are people bothered by privacy concerns?
We think the lot of camera keep the safety is really good. We can accept it.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Zhou Aini are paid to report on their neighbors.
Yeah, she's an information collector. They're what we call in the streets snitches. She's paid to snitch on her neighbors. Listen to it again.
Are required to do hours of unpaid work to get.
And y'all think this is only in the Asian areas. I got something for you, baby.
Benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. And information collectors like Zhou Aini are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals.
See, they're giving you perks on selling out your fellow neighbors.
But a bad score means public shame and worse.
Yeah, you think that can't happen in the U.S.? You think that can't happen here? Watch. Open your eyes. This is what the village, this is what Tommy, this is what relationship rehab, this is what all these guys are trying to give you.
To let us know where those folks are. If you've observed recurring violations.
Did you hear this idiot? Listen to this idiot. Yeah, Tia, it's just like that.
You need to make sure that everybody continues to let us know where those folks are. If you've observed recurring violations of the Safer at Home order, please continue to let us know at coronavirus.lacity.org/business violation. You know the old expression about snitches? Well, in this case, snitches get rewards. We want to thank you.
Wow. These cats ain't playing. They want you to snitch, man. They want you not to trust your neighbor, and we're going to pay you for it. This is where it's going. They're trying to separate us and conquer us, divide and conquer. That's what they're doing. This is what we do. We bring this information and bring it to you. This is no game. This is how my man Tommy say the end game, G. If you don't see that we need each other, if you don't see that we need to form this love and form this community, to form this village, you got a damn problem.
If you've observed recurring violations of the Safer at Home order, please continue to let us know at coronavirus.lacity.org/business violation.
Listen.
You know the old expression about snitches? Well, in this case, snitches get rewards.
Wow.
We want to thank you for turning folks in and making sure we are all safe.
Wow. You see, they use these key words to stay in your brain, turning them in to keep us safe. Turning them in to keep us safe. They're using these words so that you rationalize doing this. It's okay. It's not. It gets deeper.
Amazon isn't just delivering packages these days. It's also selling a powerful new facial recognition software.
Introducing Amazon Recognition Video, the easy-to-use API for deep learning-based analysis to detect, track, and analyze people and objects in video.
It boasts that the technology can detect, track, and analyze people. Let's think about what those powers could mean in the hands of the government.
Amazon Recognition Video uses the visual, what, temporal, when, and motion from the video to deliver high-quality person tracking and detection of activities like running, playing soccer, or getting into a car.
Recognition can identify a person's face in real time by matching it against huge databases of photos. Amazon also advertises this person tracking feature. That means that whoever has the software could theoretically use it to identify people at protests or figure out when you're traveling to the doctor or to a religious service.
Well, you're that one giving that information and we want to take you out. See what he said? Identifying people at protests. You know, they're not gonna come and get the person or the peoples or the persons that's just saying or repeating. They're gonna get the person that's actually leading the damn rally.
The next, of course, common use case, as you could expect, is public safety.
Amazon is already working with government agencies to deploy this technology. At the ACLU, we obtained records that show that Amazon signed a secrecy agreement with one county to keep details about the technology out of public view. They've also invited law enforcement to suggest new features, and they offered free consulting to help the city of Orlando build its own system.
City of Orlando is a launch partner of ours. It's a smart city. They have cameras all over the city. We analyze the video in real time, search against the collection of faces that they have.
So Orlando is already using the technology. It also already has surveillance cameras all over the city on everything from light posts to police officers. Activating a citywide facial recognition system could be as easy as flipping a switch. Body cams.
I just want to give you some type of information just to think about this. Police officers are here to maintain the law. And most police officers do not take up law. So how are you going to maintain the law when a lot of them don't know it? These guys go to the academy. They're not taught the law in the academy, or at least the basics. They're stormtroopers. That's just a mental note. Think on that.
Were designed to keep officers accountable to the public. But facial recognition turns these devices into surveillance machines. This can mean round-the-clock surveillance whenever cops are present. Imagine what that would mean for minority communities that are already over-policed. People should be free to walk down the street without the government watching them. In the hands of governments, technologies like recognition could make that impossible.
But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't feel like going to the stadium when they might get infected. You know, it's not the government who's saying, okay, just ignore this disease. And, you know, people are deeply affected by seeing these deaths, by knowing they could be part of the transmission chain. And, you know, old people, their parents, their grandparents could be.
You see what he's doing? He's backtracking. The first point he started off is you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. And now he's coming in there and saying, you know, you could be sick or whatever. It's always these little skinny, bald head, glass, skinny dudes that kill everybody, man. We got to take our lives back. We got to stand strong. We have to love each other and talk to each other. Be there for one another. Be there for your neighbor. Please. That's right, AG. I'm glad you said you will. We have to do this, man.
Affected by this. And so you don't get to say, ignore what's going on here. There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries, to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
Ain't no game. This is already in process.
An apparent new world order numbering of the world's population is in the works, which will affect and impact every human being on the planet from the first day of birth forward. This is a schematic of the game plan. It's called ID 2020 Alliance and is the most comprehensive surveillance database probably to date. As you can see from the international organizations involved, governmental agencies feeding it, statistical data, and the countries that would fund it. If you look closely, you'll see the importance vaccinations will play in the alliance and the apparent role that Big Pharma will take in providing ever-increasing numbers of vaccines, which probably will never see legitimate scientific testing for safety or efficacy. The other point that should strike you when viewing the schematic is the apparent close relationship between Gavi, and the United Nations UNICEF. The ID 2020.
You're going to be hearing that name a whole lot in the near future, Gavi. You're going to be hearing that name a whole lot. So make a mental note. Gavi, WHO, you're going to be hearing these things a whole lot more.
20 Alliance describes how and when it was launched. Gavi was officially launched at the World Economic Forum in 2000, at a time when multiple organizations were pursuing siloed approaches to immunization, leading to inefficiencies and ineffectiveness in the market for vaccines. The organization's founding partners, including UNICEF, the World Bank, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, developing and donor governments, and others, recognized that uncoordinated programs and unpredictable financing were hindering vaccination efforts and hypothesized that streamlining funding was a critical driver of a coordinated approach. As such, the Alliance not only coordinates action on the ground, but achieves scale and impact by operating as a multi-stakeholder partnership around a single funding entity. The Alliance raises a single fund to support global immunization efforts, then channels that funding into vaccination programs meeting criteria determined by Alliance partners. The result has been coordinated programs, efficient use of funding, and a large pooled market for vaccines that has driven down the cost of vaccinations for more than 800 million children worldwide. That description brings to mind Bill Gates' infamous statement made during his February 2010 TED Talk, when he gave his famous equation for global population control, which definitely included the use of vaccines. He stated, "The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Wow.
Folks, if you haven't realized it yet, that digitalization and technological pushes can and probably will make life unbearable. Acceptance of all that technology that everyone thinks is so fantastic has now become the albatross around everyone's neck. You no longer will be your own person. You'll be owned by technology. So, what happens if you don't want to comply with all the toxic vaccinations? Well, remember that in 2016, the CDC exercised a hugely anti-constitutional mandate that everyone be quarantined or jailed without legal representation for not taking vaccines, and even fined up to $500,000.
Hello, this is Nicholson 1968. Thank you for watching this video. I wanted to make it to connect a lot of dots for you of the bigger picture, the 40,000 foot view from above. The next clip I'm going to be playing a clip from TED Talks, Dakota Gruner. She is the executive director of ID 2020. And listen how they try to sell this. As you listen to it, you will notice that it is trying to be sold as we want to get programs out to everybody on the face of the earth. We want to give everybody a bank account, digital ID, global citizen. Notice
This
that
is where they're trying to
is
get
a
rid
very
of the
prominent word you're going
dollar.
to start
They're
hearing
trying
a
to go
lot.
into
Global
that
citizenship
computer dollar,
of everything,
giving
right?
everyone a
Just
debit
narrowed
card,
down to
giving
one
everyone
nation,
this,
one government. It's
where
all
they can
slowly
monitor
leading that way.
they can monitor the numbers easier than dealing with paper. This is where it's going, so that they can monitor you much better. This is where it's going. This is no joke. This is the truth. This is the future. This is what the world is going to be after this COVID thing is done.
And making sure that they track every movement with an ID 2020, everything, every transaction, moving, selling it to you as a good thing. Just like years ago, GMO food was sold as a great thing. GMO food was sold to us.
I flew here from New York City. And to get here, I calculate that I had to show some form of identification 25 times. To board an airplane, to enter Morocco, to check into my hotel, and so on. Fortunately for me, when I was born in California about 30 years ago, my parents registered my birth in the vital record system of Alameda County. And as a result, I have a birth certificate, a passport, a driver's license, a bank account, credit cards, and a health insurance card. And each one of those documents.
And just information, you do know, I hope you guys know, that your birth certificate is traded on the stock market. That's why you have a barcode on the top of your birth certificate.
Was useful in some way to get me into this room today. Each one of these documents demonstrates that I am who I say I am. You all probably have a similar portfolio of documents, but imagine that those documents were stolen, lost, destroyed, or disowned by the issuing authority. Or imagine that the issuing authority, a country, a state, a government agency, itself disappeared. And what if you'd never had a birth certificate, a passport, a national ID card, a driver's license? Nothing to prove that you are you. What would you do? For more than 1 billion people, this is their situation every day. Let me repeat that. 1 billion of our fellow global citizens are unable to prove their identity.
Take a mental note, global citizens. Take a mental note.
That's 1/7 of the world's population. That means that 1 in 7 people have no way of proving who they are outside of their local communities. In effect, they are invisible. Now, the ability to prove who you are with certainty and in a manner that's recognized and trusted by institutions and by governments is a fundamental prerequisite to accessing even the most basic services. If you can't prove who you are, you have limited access to healthcare, to education, to other social programs. Your ability to move across borders, to vote, to enroll in school, to access a bank account is limited or non-existent. What's more, women and children are at a greater risk of being victims of human trafficking. So whatever is your most urgent
that's the
concern,
scare tactic. See, that's what a scare tactic is. That you know, because you don't have no papers, you can be trafficked. Man, people with papers are being trafficked. Dumbass. They're being trafficked either way. But there's how they scare you. People without papers are being trafficked too.
refugees, economic inequality, human trafficking, financial inclusion, universal health care, global education. I could go on. Whatever it is, you care about identity. Indeed, the UN estimates that 10 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals cannot be met without first closing the identity gap. Even more fundamentally, identity is a human right. Article 6 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights reads, "Everyone has the right to recognition everywhere as a person before the law." Let me stress that. Everyone, everywhere.
And it's so crazy that they say everyone has the right to be recognized. And it's the governments that's not recognizing cats. It's the governments in Germany that exterminated 6 million Jewish people. It was the American and Dutch and French and Arab governments that took black people off the Ivory Coast of Africa. Y'all didn't see them as humans. So it's amazing how the damn people that are running things now are saying that we need to start treating you guys as human beings and we need to recognize you. So all of you got to take this shot and take this card so that we can see you on the goddamn TV. We better wake up, man.
The rub. With opportunity comes danger. Digital identity systems have to be thoughtfully designed and carefully implemented. If not, they can be more dangerous than no identity at all. And there are two distinct and equally important risks that I want to flag today. First, there's the risk of misuse. There is also the risk of misuse. At the most basic, there's the risk of exclusion as these systems become more and more embedded in our daily lives. If somebody doesn't have a way of proving who they are, as more and more services require that proof of identity, there's a greater and greater risk that they're cut off from the services that they need.
You hear them?
Leaving people behind, that's an instance of misuse. And we already have examples of just how dangerous this can be. For example, the Aadhaar program is now estimated to cover 88% of India's 1.3 billion citizens. As Aadhaar was rolled out, there were reports of people starving because they were unable to get the food subsidies they had previously claimed. What happened? Proof of identity was made a requirement for this food program. So people who didn't register or...
So now for you to eat, for you to be able to get food, you have to be able to prove who you are. So you're going to need that chip or you're going to need that identification to purchase, to buy or to sell. Sounds familiar. I hope you people understand what's going on, man. I hope you understand it. They set it off with these little third world countries and then they bring it right over here.
Or couldn't register for the ID system were suddenly unable to claim their food benefits.
Couldn't eat.
And they starved. That's a tragedy. It's a tragedy of misuse.
So here we go. Said it right there, plain as day. If you don't get on board with this, what's coming, you will be left behind. whether it be food, money, whatever it may be. You will be left behind if you do not participate in this new digital era, digital
Currency.
ID 2020, and other things that are coming that are in the works. You're going to be left behind. Perfect example, this was announced April 6th by a company, NetSense, that you need to know about. NetSense is a disruptive cryptocurrency payment technology company. They specialize in digital currency. NetSense jumped into action as soon as it learned of the plans that the United States Congress made to legislate for the U.S. Federal Reserve digital currency as part of 2 different versions of the COVID-19 stimulus bill. Ultimately, this aspect of the legislation wasn't included in the final version, but the board and the advisors of NetSense have agreed that this digital dollar will be included in subsequent legislation. So it's coming. Then that's how they roll.
That's how they
do
rolling.
things. They roll stuff out. They put it in the stimulus package. They sit back, see how they respond, and then if it's not going to go through, they pull it back. Then they roll it out later for another time. That's exactly what Google is about. That's exactly what social media is about.
It's called soft opening, right? When you open up a new store, you soft open it just to see what the people around you are saying, and then you have your grand opening. So that's the videos tonight, man. And I hope you got what's being said here. What's being said is this world is changing. The world will no longer be the same. And the things that we need to do is we need to form this community, form this love, so that we are able to love each other. That's what we need to start doing. Because if we don't, no one is going to do it for us. No one's going to do it for us if we don't do it. And we need to start doing it, man, because we are all we got. We are all we got. We have to start doing it. We have no choice. Say hello to your neighbor. Talk to your neighbor. Deal with your neighbor. Be one with your neighbor. This is what we have to start doing. The Lord told us, forsake ye not the assembly of one another. So we can't forget the assembly of one another. We can't. We won't. So I know I've been on for a minute. I'd like to thank you guys for bearing with me tonight. And thank you for participating, for the 2 callers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'd like to thank Relationship Rehab. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. Thank you. So this is what we're talking about, man. We're talking about getting together. We're talking about taking this truth and disseminating it amongst each other, right? And talking to each other, getting to know each other, questioning each other, talking to each other as men and as women, as adults. But most of all, above all of that, loving each other in truth. That's what we're talking about. Being able to converse with each other. We may not agree on everything, but as long as we stand for truth, as long as you have truth in your heart, you'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together, man. Community is everything. Village is everything. Thank you guys for showing up to the village. Okay, hold on. I got a caller, Beverly. Hey, Beverly. Wow. Wow. Can you hear me? Beverly, can you hear me? I can't hear you, babe. I cannot hear you. You're not on mute. I don't see that. Do you want to call back? Okay.
Hear me now?
I can hear you now. How are you feeling, darling? I can't hear you, Beverly.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now. Can hear you now. How are you feeling? Beverly? Cannot hear you, darling. I cannot hear you.
Just wanted to say I love you all.
And we love you.
Thank you for supporting me through this. As you see, my leg is messed up. Satan is walking the earth to catch as many souls as he possibly can. I pray for you guys with all my heart every day. I love you. Thank you for being there for me as a village.
We love you too, Benny.
I can't hear anything, but I hope you can hear me.
We can.
And I just want y'all to know that I love you very much. Thank you, Bolo, for this platform so very much.
You're welcome, darling. And we love you too. The village loves you, and we send our love to you, man. We love you too. And thank you for being part, and thank you for blessing us with your presence tonight. Right? So, Lord God, we ask you to please protect your children, for they're picking us off one by one. We ask you, Lord God, to please protect Beverly, keep her strong. Please encamp your angels around her. Please keep her safe as she go back and forth from the hospital. We ask you, Lord God, to please protect all your children that are seeking you in truth, knowledge, wisdom, but most of all, understanding. Please protect their families. Please protect first responders, essential workers. Please protect their families. Please protect all those that are going back and forth to work. Please give them travel mercy. We ask you, Lord God, to please give us the knowledge, wisdom, but most of all, the understanding to know what's going on around us and to accept the truth for what it is, not for what we want it to be. We ask you, Lord God, and we thank you for this platform. We thank you for those that are teaching the truth. We thank you for those that are picking up the mantle, picking up the bricks, and helping us to form this village. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for another stream. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for keeping us strong. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. So, what we're going to do at this point is, now you know I got to give all this information out. So, hold on as I set up my thing. All right, so here we go. Sorry about that. Here we go. All right, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, NAMI.org. NAMI.org. Their phone number is 800-950-6264. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 800-273-8255. 800-273-8255. Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America.org for those youngsters that need that mentorship. Tuesday's Children are specifically for military families. We have the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Their phone number is 800-662-4357. 800-662-4357. It's a free, confidential, 24/7, 365 days a year treatment, referral, and information services in English and Spanish for individuals and families, mental and or substance use disorders. The National Parent Helpline, 855-427-2736, 855-427-2736. The National Drug Helpline, 844-289-0879, 844-289-0879. Their website is drughelpline.org. They're open 24 hours for drug and alcohol help. The National Association for Children of Alcoholics, 888-554-2627, 888-554-2627. National Domestic Violence Hotline, 800-799-7233, 800-799-7233. Their website, thehotline.org. The National Child Abuse Hotline, 800-422-4453, 800-422-4453. Childhelp.org is their website. It's dedicated to the prevention of child abuse, serving the U.S. and Canada. The hotline is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with professional crisis counselors who, through interpreters, provide assistance in over 170 languages. The hotline offers crisis intervention information and referrals to thousands of emergency social services and support resources. All calls are confidential, or you can text 800-422-4453. 800-422-4453. You could text. I forgot to tell you, with the NAMI, N-A-M-I, you can also text NAMI to 741-741. You can text NAMI to 741-741. Thank you. We're going to listen to them. I'm going to bring this up.
He's not a man that he should lie. I hate when we teach Jake and they walk on by. Christ is on his way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on his way. Will I find faith in thee? Christ is on his way. Come to end all this confusion. Christ is on his way. Establish eternal righteous ruling. Christ is on his way. Will you be ready for me? Christ is on his way. Or will I find iniquity? Christ is on his way. I bear the sins of many. Christ is on his way. How could you do this to me? Christ is on his way. I'll hear the ready for me. Turn up the nations for me. Ain't gonna be no more. Israel, you better enjoy. Come out and no sense confused. Turn up the nations for me. Ain't gonna be just wrong. Ain't gonna make this. Ain't gonna be ready for me. Ain't gonna take this. Ain't gonna take this. Ain't gonna take this. Come take this confusion. Ain't gonna reach us through.
Yeah. That's the brothers. Me and the brothers. I got one more song that the brothers and I put together, and this was years ago, 2000. You know what I'm saying? Another song. So I hope you guys like it and enjoy it. I need you guys to listen to the words of this song. It's very spiritual, man.
Please forgive me for my transgressions. Oh, yeah.
Yo, we live in misery, ghetto infested, crack facilities where people struggle and strive against their own abilities. I tried to put the people on and tell them what they're doing is wrong. An epidemic, this is prolonged. Misery, the day that Christ was betrayed, as he sat and broke bread when I had a scheme to hold him back. Now picture this, living your life at the age of 12, going around town telling the wise men to get on track and growing up, walking in the footsteps of Christ, knowing death, knowing the time Satan tempt you in the night. Fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, afflictions, praying for strength in the Lord to overcome this. And what about the times when they doubted you, didn't believe because they couldn't see what it is to see? You got eyes, but they don't see. You got ears, but they don't hear. That's why we living in misery.
Forgive me for I've sinned over and over again. And again, and again, and again. Lord, forgive me for I've sinned over and over again. And again, and again, and again.
Attempting to reach the promised land, pay homage and praise to Yahweh Shah. Why should he even acknowledge man? We represent the 12 tribal, even the families of Israel, spoken of all over the Bible, awaiting the arrival of the Son of Man. If the truth hurts, then duck down, cause his verse is homicidal. Bust my gun in hand, destroying my arch rival. He's on the ground, stretched out like a rubber band. Shot him 7 times, I understand. Don't take it literal, condition is critical. Cause every shot was spiritual. 3 shots to the face, judgment, mercy, and faith. By the grace of the Most High that we weren't replaced. 3 more shots landed. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Without these, your spirit abandons your body. And now your flesh is left stranded. The last was love. Most powerful force on the planet. Sources outlandish. A place where the laws in our hearts will be branded. Living out the true example of what a man is. Our minds are like a fragile package that's damaged. The eyes of the Lord got us on candid. Camera. Watching us, whatever we do, forever he rules. For us, the Red Sea was severed in two.
Faith for all Israel to have. Right. They crucified the Son of Man, wicked acts like him. Damn. I ran since I was a slave, mentally pained. I cry out to the Lord, but never in vain. We soon reign and have dominance like the days of old King Solomon. Low in tolerance, the Lord covenant, the promised land, right. The kingdom, the power, and the glory. Amen.
Give me for I've sinned over and over again. And again, and again, and again. Lord, forgive me for I've sinned over and over again. And again, and again, and again.
Ever since I get the Spirit of the Lord, I've been walking in the righteous path of Yahweh Shai, trying to keep my head up as I walk by. All of the simple and perverse, for this world is such a curse. When I tell you, I mean there is no sign of the truth, no more praying in the booths or the tabernacles and our solemn feasts where we used to eat all the holy things. Put before the Most High when we cover sins. Man, you should have been there when I tell you. What the hell you call this wretched ass place? Such a disgrace. Man, we've been misplaced, Lord, we've been praised. Now we're praising every day, wishing you were here, looking up the sky where we know that you will appear. Come on down, lift us up, take us out of here. Bring us to a land where the righteous is always near. And it's all about faith, cause there ain't no fear.
Lord, forgive me for I've sinned over and over again. And again, and again, and again. Lord, forgive me for I've sinned over and over again. And again, and again, and again.
Yeah, guys, thank you for showing up. And like I always say, man, please, love each other, be there for one another, because if we're not, we have no one else to be there for. So take care of yourselves first and each other. I beg you. Good night.